moderators can support your channel. Introduce managing moderators there. Okay, new policy. Day one. I'm going to be wearing a hat because this barber murdered my hairline. Day one. All right, looks good. No problem. Day one. Where are we at? Yeah, I thought I would stop letting people. I thought I'd go back to letting people cut my hair. Never again. Welcome everybody. This is Ask Me. Go ahead and begin, okay? 10 people will go ahead and begin. I want to kind of get to it. Udonando. Stretched ass call. Udo. Let's see who is all here. We're at 2. Anyways, for those of you who are new, my name is Derek Ofadarumwa. I am the host of The Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo spirituality here on YouTube, of course. If this is a topic that you're interested in, that is Igbo spirituality, cosmology, and ancestral thoughts, I think I also provide a pretty good window into general African and African diasporic thought as well, cosmology, spirituality, and so forth. If you understand what I'm talking about, or if you come to understand what I'm talking about, kind of makes it easier to understand the other cultures of the continent and diaspora. But yeah, for those who are interested in the topic, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you have not hit the like button, hit the like button. I see there's 4 people in here and only one of them have hit the like. I don't know if the 3 are enemies that my village people sent for me, but if you are not the enemy, go ahead and hit the like button. If you are not the enemy, go ahead and hit the like button. If you are not the enemy, go ahead and hit the like button. For those of you who are interested in Igbo spirituality, cosmology, and you want to support the movement, the best way to do so is joining Patreon at patreon.com/The Medicine Shell. So I have my full research library in there, which I'll probably bring up during this conversation. It tends to come up. It has hundreds of books, articles, different things you can read on Igbo spirituality, different topics within. At the current moment, I am finishing up a book. I'm on a chapter where I'm teaching Afa, how to read Afa divination, but I have about 3 books in there that break down all the codex and the meanings for Afa and so forth. So those have been my main source as far as that goes. We got 4 to 4. That's good. I don't know if are the comments turned off, guys? I need to change my shirt too. This thing is blown out. Hold on, let me go get a better shirt. Or let me Uma, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? Do me a favor. Can you go upstairs and get a sweater or a shirt that looks good? Thank you. Hey, all right, local 49. Rasan is in the house. Kamo is in the house. We need 2 more people, and we're gonna get started. Okay. Peace. Who else is here? We got 8 people, but only about 2, 3 have commented. So I want to know who's all here. Where's everybody dialing in from as well? I hope you guys have questions today. As I wait for my wife to get me a better shirt. I don't like how stretched out this is. This is the battle scars of having kids. From California. What time is it over there? Is it Ima or Ima? Is it pronunciation A, Ima, or pronunciation B, Ima? Right? Ima would be the Igbo way of saying it. Ima would be maybe another language. Uh-oh, can't get to your website. Link doesn't work. Okay, I'll check and see what's going on there. I got an email. Florida. He said, Savannah, Georgia, 9p. Okay, cool. Yeah, for the person saying the website doesn't work, I'll look into fixing that tonight if something's wrong. I don't know why, but I do remember I got an email from the host and I didn't check it, which was irresponsible. But I'll check it and see what's going on. I don't know why they're always stressing me out, but yeah, because Savannah, Georgia. He said, I'm trying to find an excuse to come to Atlanta. All right, we got 10 people in here. He said, all right, let's go ahead and begin, okay? Okike keruwa. Alawala. Alanemado na nemo. ala na-enye ndụ na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa na-edume ụmụ ya nne mmadụ nne mmụọ. Oh, that's too warm. That's too hot. It's like, that's too thick.
So what do you want?
Just like a sweater that's not super thick. This one's like really blown out. Or a shirt that's not too tight. Nene yendu, nene yen koma dinowa. Nene dume ụmụ ya, ụmụ gị abịala. Obiọma ka anyị ji na-ekele gị. Eji m ọjị n'aka na-ekele gị. Ọjị ọkpụ na iche, ọjị mbụ na egede, ọjị mmadụ na mmụọ. Otu m ji ọjị n'aka bụ otu anyị ga-eji udo, otu anyị ga-eji uche, otu anyị ga-eji akọ, otu anyị ga-eji ike, otu anyị ga-eji ntasi obi okike nyere anyị ka anyị ghọta nke anyị ga-aghọta n'ụwa, ka anyị mụ nke anyị ga-amụ n'ụwa, ka anyị mee nke anyị ga-eme n'ụwa, ka anyị bụ nke anyị ga-ebu n'ụwa. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị n'Eke na Orie na Afọ na Nkwọ ise. All right, we are officially on. Oh yeah, if you guys have questions, as always, the rules are, so long as you have questions, I stay here and I answer them. Once the questions run out, I run out. So the last thing I saw was local telling me they're in Savannah, Georgia. They're well from Florida. I have not been in Florida in a very long time. I'm looking for an excuse to go there as well. Are you a Christian or a traditionalist? I am a traditionalist. It's real. I am a traditionalist. I am not a Christian. Can you say... No, I can't say that. How would you suggest finding laws of the land in the diaspora excluding the Bible? Oh, wow, that is powerful. I'll stain that shirt. That one's like too small. I'll just wear this one. This one's stained? You know what? I'll wear that one inside out, the blue one. All right. We're going to have a wardrobe change. So, finding out the laws of the land. So, unfortunately, I don't know the ritual for uncovering the laws of the land. But any specialist who specializes in building Arushi, would be able to build the Arushi to communicate with the land. An Arushi is a shrine, a device, or a portal that is used to establish communication with a spirit, or an Abara, which is a spirit of something that supersedes humanity in age, such as the earth. And so somebody who's able to tap into that communication would be able to do it. That's very advanced, and it's not something I'd be able to do or tell you how to do at this current level of my knowing. Once I find out, I will be able to share more. There is an art known as what is that? It's not Ntusiala. There's an art known as Ntusiala, where you'll see these iron rods with bells at the bottom, and I think some bells at the top, where somebody will strike on the land. And based on the vibration of reading the vibration of the strike, it will tell the settler, the person there, what that land is for, or what the existential nature of that land is. So this is how our ancestors are able to determine where the Eke market is, where the Orie, where the Afo, where the Onkwo. This is where they're able to establish this spot is a place for an Arishi, and so forth. Another thing you'll pay attention to is that the Abara, which are the spirits of nature, they manifest in different forms, and oftentimes they'll manifest in an animal form. And what you'll see is that there'll be a spot in the land that animal tends to gather. So where I'm from the land a land that borders the river Njaba, and the river Njaba is the owner of our land. On top of the river Njaba being the owner of our land, she comes into animal form as the python, Eke Njaba. And so there's this particular spot where all the pythons, no matter what they do in the day, they all come there to rest. That's how we know that that is home. That is where the Arishifo Njaba is. So that is where communication is done with her. So pay attention to those particular things. But it's not. It's a very advanced thing. It's not something I'd be able to do at my current level of knowledge and understanding. So, but that's a good question. Come to Savannah. It's Hills Geechee land. Yeah, no, I would love to. Give me an excuse and I'll be there. What's the first step in getting an authentic Afa divination in your country? Willing to travel there for that. Okay, so to get Afa, you don't need to. Well, let me put it this way: a lot of DBS won't do it virtually, but there are some that do it virtually. So you can get one virtually. If you want to go home to Igbo land and get one, that's fine too. Your best bet is to just find a DBA that you can trust and work with. And not that, like, when I say trust, I don't mean anything bad's going to happen to you or anything like that. But just find one that you're like, okay, this person knows what's up or knows what they're talking about, that you have faith in their word and their ability. Usually word of mouth helps too. Recommendations. And then some will do it virtually, some do it in person. Every single town and village in Igbo land has diviners, DBAs. You just need to ask one or two people. If you have family at home, that would be one thing. If you can travel with a friend, and Nigeria is not the type of place you travel and start walking around. And it's not that it's not safe or anything. It's just it's not tourist friendly. So there's no sign that says this is the DBA, right? Everything is always you have to ask somebody, right? So I would go with somebody if you don't have people on the land. But if you have people there, just ask, hey, I want somebody to do Alpha. Can you recommend somebody? Luckily, we do have a DBA on Patreon. Shit. We do have a DBA on Patreon. I was supposed to call him today. We do have a DBA on Patreon who can do that for you. And so if you reach out to him, or why did I say? If you're on Patreon, just reach out to me and I'll connect the two of you. We have a DBA who does AFA for the patrons. So yeah, if you're on Patreon, he can do it there. But if you want to go in person, you can do in person too. You can go in person and get it done by him in person too. So it's your call. I said, okay, thanks. I've always heard to be physically present. Yeah, that's why I said many of them won't do it physically, right? So the virtual is there for convenience. I'm going to change my shirt. Hold on. The virtual is there for convenience, right? But it's not optimal. The best thing to do is to go in person. Because one of the things you do when you do Afa is you'll touch a stone known as Ogun. And touching that stone is like a stone of consent to be read, right? And to my understanding, this consent helps the accuracy. But a lot of the younger DBAs make their services available virtually just because of the reality of the world we're in. Okay? All right, much better. Okay. That caller was driving me crazy. Okay, so a lot of DBAs make their services available virtually based on the nature of the world that we're in today. So I'm gonna have to hold the phone. This little thing I'm using is not doing me any favors. So I see you got a fresh cut. No, I didn't get a fresh cut. I didn't get a fresh cut. I have a traumatic PTSD ridden relationship with barbers, and I don't know why they can never cut my hair right, and it drives me insane. So I try to learn how to cut my own hair, which I'm decent. I'm all right. But then I said, you know what? Let me stop. Let me go find a barber, and I met this very nice young man. And you know, I do like barbers because they're always good for conversation. They always kind of have a go get them mentality about like things like business and stuff like that. So we were talking. He's younger. He was in his 20s, and I don't know if he got carried away talking or what. But by the time I was done, I had like I had like I had like my ancestors' hairline. Like I was like, this is not my hair. Like what? The young man brutalized my hairline, and so I'm like, all right, well, there's another month of wearing a hat. And you know, I'm in my mid-30s. I don't have too much time left with a decent hairline. I don't have too much time left. So playing games with it is, but it was, the barber was he was a nice kid. He was new. One of the barbers was trying to advise him, and I was just like, oh no. He was new at the job, but he was a nice guy. He might be watching right now. He asked me for my information. I told him about this community and this channel. I told him about the village. I told him about the classes at Kedu. And yeah, so he might be here. If he's here, hey, shout out to you, you know. But you definitely killed my goddamn hairline. There are way too many follicles at the end of the haircut. Oh, dumma. So yeah, where are we at? For the presents, Nahagas. Got a fresh cut. I would like to get a fresh cut one day, but here, once I find a barber I trust, I always like stick really close to them, and then something happens, they move, that kind of thing. So my whole life, I've had a very few amount of barbers because I don't play with that. I would rather not have a haircut than have a bad haircut. And yeah, God just murdered my hairline. Undeserved. Yeah. So, but it was a great conversation I had with him, and he's a nice guy. And if he's watching, who did? I'd rather get a recommendation from you. Yeah. So we have a Debia on Patreon, and he's awesome. He's awesome. So, whenever you're ready, just message me, and I'll connect you guys. If you guys are interested in readings, join the Patreon. Patreon.com/The Medicine Show. When making offerings to ancestors, some say bury the food, throw it away. Some say eat it because the chi lives within us. What do you say, sir? Okay, that's a really good question because the food thing is always a thing people struggle with or want to figure out. So, when it comes to food, right? It's a gesture. It's a gesture. And what you eat with is a part of you. Anything you eat with is a part of you, right? Anything you eat with is a part of you. So the rule of thumb, I guess, it's not really a rule, but what you should do is whatever you are eating, you offer it, right? You can lay it down. Some people literally chew it and spit it, right, on the thing. You can lay it down. I've never heard of burying it, but it's not, no matter what you do, so long as the gesture is I am sharing this with you, you're fine. It's just a gesture. It's just a gesture, right? So long as the gesture says I am sharing this with you, okay? What I will advise is if you don't bury it, which again I've never heard of burying it, but I'm not against that idea. It's the same thing, right? And so forth. If you are not burying it and you're cleaning it, when you sweep away. Don't sweep towards your altar. Sweep away from the altar. Sweep away from the altar, okay? So that the movement of the debris or the food is like it's like it's radiating out from the altar, okay? But it's a really good question you just asked. It's common. People ask the questions about food a lot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is the gesture. What I'm eating, you're eating. What I'm drinking, you're drinking. It's just it's a thing of togetherness, right? It's a thing of togetherness. And if you understand, try not to see your relationship with your ancestors as different from your relationship with your elders. Okay? So offer your food to your ancestors the way you would offer it to your elders or to your family. The word iche, right? I don't know if you speak Igbo, but the word iche, you know that some iche doesn't necessarily mean you're dead. Iche could be living, could be a living person, right? So offer them food the way you would offer an iche, and you should be fine. Okay? Odema. Uguay Collins, looks like you're wilding out in the thing. Maybe you're excited. We're excited to see you too. When making offerings, okay, cool. The chi lives within us, that kind of thing, yeah. So it doesn't matter how it's the gesture. It's the gesture. Kedu, I know that in Odinani, that by birth, all Igbo people are of the faith or it's closed. It's not a faith. It's not a faith. It is a catch-all term to say the thoughts and way of life of Igbo people. Okay? The thoughts and way of life of Igbo people. Right? So it's hard to say that it's not closed. it's not closed, right? Because if we look at what Odinani is, right, it's community. Well, I can't say that only Igbo people can have community. Odinani is community with the living, beyond the living. It's also community with those that are not living, right? Well, I can't say that only Igbo people can have community with those that are not living. That doesn't make any sense. It is community with nature, with the elements of nature. Alanigwe, ikuku na mmiri, all everything. Eke orie, afo onko. It is community with the days. It's community with the sun. It's the community with all of the elements of self that you may not be aware of or may not see, but is necessary so that you can walk in the world as your full self, right? So none of that to me sounds like you can close it off to another person. I can't tell somebody that, oh, no, only Igbo people acknowledge their ancestors. You can't do that, right? It doesn't make any sense. So no, it's not closed, right? It's not closed. There are things within Odinani that require, I guess, initiation, like chieftaincies, titles, really that for the most part, those that require some type of initiation process and so forth. But everything else is not. It's not clear. It's just observation. It's the world. It's a science, right? It's a science. Is every Igbo person an Odinani by birth? I don't think so. I don't think so. Right? Just because you come out of just because you came out of your mother's bekus doesn't mean that you're whatever that implies, right? I don't think so. Right? I don't think so. But more people are than they are aware of. More people are than they are aware of. I mean afterwards for clarity. Oh, no. What you do with the food afterwards is up to you. Like I said, it's just a gesture. It's just a gesture. Right? It's just a gesture. Let me tell you the truth. Or I've been telling you the truth, but let me tell you a higher truth. At home, most people's altars, like traditionally, it would be outside and it would be like trees. People would use trees, or it would be around a tree or somewhere in like around nature, a shrub, something like that as their altar. That was what people did at home, right? And so when you give it food, there's really no reason to have to clean it up, right? You don't really have to clean it up. That accumulation of what looks like mess is an accumulation of nutrients, and it's an accumulation of intention. It's an accumulation of love. It's an accumulation of acknowledgement. And all of that gives your connection more power. All of that gives your connection more power, right? So, but because we're because the world has been run by, cave-oriented people, we're now all very indoors oriented. So now, yes, we do have to clean up in a different way because the elements of nature that an accumulation of food would invite is not conducive to living in a home and so forth. So when you clean up however you want, it's not a big deal. It's just a gesture. But if you want that thing to really have power, don't clean it up. If you want that thing to really have power, don't clean it up and have it outside. Have it outside. What suggestions would you recommend for someone who is practicing in an Igbo being that you are technically limited on things household, but that you can't hold an altar in your family home? Olive Uche, let me also tell you another thing. You don't start this until you have your own home. That's another one. You don't start this until you have your own home. Whatever your father is acknowledging in his home is what you're acknowledging too, right? And if you want to begin your own and do your own installments and things like that, you have to build your own home. You have to build your own home. So it's not that you'll be in a home and your dad and mom are talking about Jesus and you're talking about something else. You can talk about whatever you want. Let me say that. But it wouldn't make sense for you to do that because you guys are under one awful in that home. So all of this doesn't begin until you build your own home, right? It's good to have the knowledge. It's it's good to acknowledge your ancestors and know your ancestors and so forth, but you really can't put your full foot into this. As a man, I'm assuming you're a man. Olive Uche sounds like a man. You can't really put your full foot into this until you have your own home, right? Or your own living space. And I don't mean bedrooming in your parents' house. I mean living space, right? So you have to build your home and so forth. You know, that's why this. If you, that's why building a home is really the beginning of manhood for an Igbo person. You have to build your own home. That's when you really begin. You can acknowledge your ancestors. You can pray the way you want to pray, so on and so forth. But try it unless your parents, specifically your father, also starts doing what you're doing, or seeing things the way you're seeing things, or gives you the permission. That's the best way. Gives you the permission. I would wait till you build your own home. Ademma. Greetings. Is the Igbo Chi the same as the Yoruba Uri? I apologize about the simple question. No, it's not a simple question at all. A lot of people have told me it is, right? A lot of people have told me that it is, but the reason I say a lot of people have told me it is that I don't know too much about the Yoruba tradition. But a lot of people have told me that there's a lot of similarities and they're very similar and so forth. I think the Igbo tradition emphasizes the chi more. So there's more to say. The Igbo people have more to say as far as the chi goes. But they're generally the same. I think it's generally the same idea. Okay? So you're not far off, and it's not that's not a simple observation. It's kind of an advanced one. It's kind of an advanced because it means you're familiar with both. So that's dope. Not faith-like, but forgive me, sir. I mean closed as in identity-based. Everybody's Odinani is their own Odinani, right? So if a Chinese person begins Odinani, okay, he's Chinese, he's going to acknowledge his Chinese ancestors. He's going to have a relationship with his Chinese land and his Chinese sky. You understand? He's going to walk with Chinese Alpha. He's going to walk with Alpha Gundi, China, right? He's going to acknowledge, he's going to walk into a room with his full self, right? When I list my ancestors, I'm not going to say the same names as you're going to say. So Odinani is very identity based, but it's based on you as a person, not like, you know what I mean? Like everybody has, there's nothing we're saying that isn't reality. So it's not a matter of only we can do this thing, right? Anybody that who loses a loved one and goes to their grave and leaves a flower is doing Odinani. You know, hey, let me tell you about these Caucasians, man. They've been shooting fireworks since June, and it's illegal to shoot it outside of like the 4th. But here, I think they'll be shooting this thing till November. You know, but that's a whole different thing. So, but yeah, so anybody who acknowledges the dead, they're doing Odinani, right? Anybody that swears an oath, they're doing Odinani, and these are things that are universal. The whole world does it. So it's not like faith is like a blanket. I don't want to call it a religion. So that's if I hope you're hearing what I'm saying and you're understanding why I say it's not really a religion, right? Because if you learn about Odinani from me in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, you and I are going to be doing something very different because Odinani is an understanding, or a big part of Odinani is understanding and accepting yourself and your nature, which is going to be different from my own, right? There's an ilu that says, Otu mwai, ohumwai, Otu mwai na mu ututu. Mana, what is it? Otu chi na mu otu, or something like that, right? And I butchered the pronunciations, but it says that one woman can birth many, but a chi births one, right? So if you're trying to understand your chi and walk with your chi and know what your chi is, you're going to find that you are not going to be doing the same thing that I do. We're going to be different from each other. That's why, like at home, sometimes you'll hear about Odinani from people. It's very like, you must do this, you must do that, you must do this, you must do that. And I understand what role that stuff plays, but a lot of those instructions people don't give it context. And the general context is, in the end, you're going to be doing your own thing, right? Your own very specific thing. And it's up to the general people, if it even matters, to tell you whether or not they like what you're doing, but that's you're being you. Ademma. Biko, They will become. Please consider what you feed your ancestors, especially if you're feeding outdoors. Twinkies, plastic covered food is bad for Allah. April, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sometimes I just say these things and I assume people are seeing what's in my head. It, be careful what you give your ancestors. Don't give your ancestors things that don't give life. Don't stop throwing plastics in rivers and at altars and things like that. I saw a river or an altar the other day, and it just had like piles of unopened bottles of Fanta. I almost cried, right? And even the I mean, anyways, that's a whole different thing. But don't give your ancestors Western food. Even today, if your parents come over, let's say you're an Igbo person and your parents come over, you're not gonna give them donuts and Twinkies and cookies and shit. You're gonna give them real food. You know what I mean? So your ancestors, that times 10. That times 10. You don't give them. Just leave all these Western processed foods alone. A lot of it's not food. It's just like a marketing gimmick, right? It's a marketing gimmick. It's an addiction gimmick, that kind of thing. So leave it alone. Give them what you know that is food. Don't give them non-degradable products. The degradation or the rotting, the spoiling of the food is a sign that it's being received. It's a sign that it's being received. So yes, April, thank you so much for that. Consider what you feed your ancestors. Don't give them Twinkies and all. Though, let's make this point. If you had an ancestor and you're very aware that that person loved Twinkies, it's okay to give them Twinkies, right? If you had an ancestor, you're very aware that person loves cigarettes, it's okay to give them cigarettes. If you had an ancestor, you have to know what that person liked, okay? Know what that person liked, but be mindful because a lot of what we're calling food is not food. My dad gave me permission. Okay, Uche, wonderful, wonderful. He actually introduced it to me. Oh, Uche, yeah, you're fine. So then what's the beef? You're saying that you can't set up or that you want to set up an altar in your house or what? If your dad gave you permission, it's fine. Your dad is what they call dibia ulo, the dibia of the home, right? So if that's the operation in his home, then you're in alignment. You're doing well, right? You're fine. If anything, I would have him kind of guide you through that. But yeah, set up something that acknowledges all of your ancestors you know by a name. Ask them your ancestors' names. Ask them their story, what kind of people they were, that type of thing. You may want to ask them what foods they ate. Don't give cassava, fufu. Uh, yeah, Uche, you sound all right. You sound good. You sound good. If your dad's okay with it, go ahead and set it up wherever. I was gonna ask about Yoruba as well. Thank you for addressing it. Cool. Is there a figure like the Grim Reaper, or Death Companions, Igbo spirituality? Yes, there is. The spirit that accompanies death is known as Obunabale. In some places Obunabale, right? In some places she's known as Nemwo, Nemwo, right? So those are her names and so forth. Just this idea, this spirit that accompanies death, the portal that takes you into the other side as you begin your journey of return through Allah and through your mother. So yeah, that's super dope. Good question. Nemo, Nne space Mmuo, and then Obunabali, Ogbunab. I lost track. Abali. Adema. Because I want to do it well. I want to set it up well. Okay, Uche, wonderful. So setting up an altar well, okay? The first thing you're going to do is you have to have something that represents you as a person. Something as a centerpiece that represents you as a person. Some people will use like an ikenga. Some people will use, like I use this a statue. I have a certain statue that I use, right? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to have something that represents each of your ancestors, right? You're going to have something that represents each of your ancestors, and they're all going to be together. So I use flower pots. I have like these flower pots that I put into the earth, and they grow plants. So I have a plant that represents each of my ancestors and so forth, right? And that kind of thing. If you're going to use that method, that garden method that I use, try to get soil from your ancestral home. Try to get soil from the footpaths to the market in your ancestral home, or try to get soil from the market itself. But either way, but any soil's fine. I didn't get any special soil, but I will when I go home, and so forth. So what was I gonna say? So get that, the representation of each of your ancestors. You're going to learn more ancestors over time. You add more as time goes. You add more as time goes. Before you know it, if you can reach up to like 100, then you're going to be supercharged, you know. But you have something that represents all your ancestors. Now, anything you do after that is up to you. Anything you do after that is up to you. As you grow in your path and your journey, you'll decide what to put there, what to take out, what to alter, and so forth. It's not a fixed process. You're trying to approximate what is known as your ezumezu. So think of the ezumezu as the full and total and entire you. So you are a parcel of you. Your ancestors are another parcel. Your chi is another parcel. There's a bug on me. Your agon is another parcel. Your just all these different things that make you, your indiuke, the different things that you came into creation with are all different parcels. And over time, as you learn more about the concept and you come to understand it, and you feel grounded and comfortable and confident in your understanding of that concept, you put something there that represents it. So I don't know if you've seen like a diagram of space where it has the sun and has all the planets orbiting around it. That is an arashi. That concept is an arashi because it's a simulation, a representation of the solar system, where it's got the sun at the center, which is like the chi or the representation of the self. And then it's got all the different ancestors, which are like the planets around it and so forth, right? Think of it like that. Like you're building a model of who you are as a person. As you grow to learn who you are, you change that model, you add things to that model, you improve that model, right? People will ask me questions, okay, what things do I feed my ancestors? How do I do when do I do my acknowledgments? These things will be revealed after. I can give you what I can give you, but after a while, you'll begin to learn things that I can't teach you. Because ultimately, what you're representing and what you're acknowledging is yourself, okay? Is yourself. And I don't know you like that. So I would start with representing yourself and your ancestors. Now, here are some things I do that are different. I also represent my agun. Your agun is if you don't know, your agun is the part of you that when you pass, it does the process of returning and coming back. Your agun is also the part of you that knows who you really are. It knows who you really are. It is a part of you that your chi sent into the world to actualize the reality that is you. This is your destiny, your akaraka, right? The etchings on your palm, right? And that kind of thing. So that is the part of you that knows all those things, that keeps those things. And when you pass, it will go and it will come back in another child, through another person, right? So I have something on my altar, I'm actually looking at it right now, that represents that aspect of me as well. And those are the three things that I represent on mine. Those are my ancestors, my agun, and myself. Okay? Ancestors, agun, and self. In the morning, I wake up, I drink water, and then I get a big thing of water, and I do my acknowledgments. I acknowledge the sky, right? Because that's a part of me as well. I'm its child. Right? And anybody can debate me on that. But I'm the child of the sky. I acknowledge the earth. I'm her child, right? I'm her child. I'm made of earth. This is not a belief thing. This is just facts. This is just facts, right? I know that I'm connected to the sky because if I stop breathing in the sky, I'll die. If I stop taking in light, I'll die. So obviously this is a part of me. If I stop taking in my heartbeat, if somebody gets rid of my heartbeat, I'll die. If somebody gets rid of my lungs, I'll die. If somebody gets rid of the sun, I'll die. If somebody gets rid of the earth, I'll die. So I know this is all me, right? I know this is all me. I don't limit my organs, if you want to call them organs, to what's inside the skin, right? That's what Odinani is. So I acknowledge the earth or the sky, I acknowledge the earth. I acknowledge Though I'm going to start changing the order. I acknowledge the earth, I acknowledge the sky, I acknowledge the 4 days, Eke Orie, Afo Nkwo, for many reasons. One, these are all the ancestors that I can't name, but were born on those days. These are their names. Two, these are the 4 elements that make all things. So that's a part of me as well. Eke light. I know I'm part light. There's light running through me. You understand? If light didn't exist, I wouldn't exist. So I know we all know we're part light. We're part light. You can feel the heat of a human body. That's Eke, right? Uriye, water. I don't need to tell you how much of the human body is made of water or what water means to humanity. But again, water means as much or more to me as my heartbeat, because I can't live without either. So I'm acknowledging that because that's me, right? Earth. Again, I just ate yam, red oil, egg, and goat. All of that is earth. All of that is minerals. All of that is earth. If I laid it on the ground and came back in 10 years, it would be a pile of sand. It'd be a pile of dirt, right? The sprinklers just came on. They might get me. I'm beginning to think this is a conspiracy. Sprinkler thing is a conspiracy. It's always when we start getting into good conversation. All right, so I might have to take off. But so yeah, I acknowledge all those things, and then I tell those things what kind of day I'm gonna have, right? Or what we're gonna see today, or what I'm offering them represents. I bring water, I bring kola nut when I have kola nut, and sometimes I'll bring a little bit of food if it's something I'm proud to eat. Right? If I'm eating yam, I'll bring that because I know my ancestors ate that. If I'm eating cereal, I'm not gonna bring that, right? And those of you who have Nigerian parents, I dare you to bring your parents cereal and see and see what they do. I remember my in-laws came over and I don't know what I was thinking. It was a while back, but I had like my wife told me to go to the store and get snacks and stuff, and while I was in the store, she's like, "Can you get some snacks for them?" I bought a bunch of like pastries and they insulted me and I deserved it because what was I thinking, you know? So yeah, you know, but then again, some people come from different cultures where you can give your elders pastries, right? So if you come from a culture like that, go ahead. If your ancestors were eating that or they didn't see it as children food, then yeah, go ahead. You know, again, like I said, as you advance in what you're doing, as you grow, as you acknowledge the truths about what I'm saying, you will come to do it differently than me, and that's very invited. All right, that's very invited. Why no cassava or fufu? Because our ancestors did not eat cassava or fufu. And our ancestors, Igbo people, they did not eat cassava, they did not eat fufu. Especially people who had like titles, like people dignitaries, people which every ancestor is at this. If you're an ancestor, that's what it is. You become a titled person. So titled people did not eat fufu till this day. Titled people don't eat fufu. Till this day, if you can't give an nze or an ozo, you cannot give them fufu. Now, the fufu became really, really common after the war, just because of the starvation and stuff. It became common after the war from the starvation. But our ancestors didn't eat cassava or fufu. Um, you can eat it if you're like a child or like an untitled person, but once you start reaching that level, you can't. You're not. I mean, they got like church titles, like they have like these. They have like titles that aren't of any gravity. So I'm sure they eat all the fufu they want, but and ozo and nze, they don't eat fufu. You don't eat cassava. Um, yeah, someone said I read somewhere that cassava is from South America. That could be why. Ultimately, an ozo and nze is supposed to eat the way their ancestors ate. And if their ancestors did not eat it, they themselves will not eat it, right? So that eliminates cassava and fufu. So I've heard that it's from South America as well. So they're not local food. They're newer. Yep, you got it. Perfect. Phew. Is Ohafia in Nigeria? Yeah, Ohafia's in Nigeria. How did you learn all this? Okay, that's a good question. My first teacher was my life. I lived these traditions, right? And so that's usually my cross reference when I receive some type of information. I see like if it makes sense with what I saw growing up. right? My second teacher was having knowledgeable people around me, right? Friends who were DBAs, friends who were also interested in this particular path and so forth. My other teacher was having very good elders. So anytime I have a question, I can call my dad, my mom, my uncle, who else? My father-in-law, though my father-in-law will laugh first. My father-in-law thinks it's very funny that I'm American. I grew up in America. And I'm all into this stuff. Like he thinks it's hilarious. So he'll laugh first, but he gives good answers. Um, my mother-in-law will just make jokes and will not give an answer whatsoever. But I have good people around me that that teach me when I need it. And then because it's an interest of mine and a passion of mine, third place would be like reading, researching, and stuff like that. Like I said, I have so my library on Patreon are things that I myself read, right? It's the things that I myself read and I myself learn from. Like right now, I'm reading the book Afa, Mouthpiece of the Unseen, which I think you can find online, but I definitely have it in the library. And it's really breaking down how to do Afa divination and so forth. Books, After God is Dibia, Healing Insanity, Leopards of the Magical Dawn, that kind of thing. So I try to keep as much in the library as possible. I don't have After God's Debut. Try to keep as much in the library as possible, so it's like full of stuff and anything. I just ran into two really good books that I'm going to add. Hope maybe tomorrow morning. I'll probably fall asleep after this, and so forth. And then finally is after a point, I learned where this knowledge comes from, right? I learned where it comes from. So after using this part of my brain to decipher it my whole life, I learned which one is the heart? One of these. I learned where it comes from. I learned where it comes from. And now my primary teachers are nature itself and the Igbo language. Okay? Nature itself and the Igbo language. So that's kind of how I got to where I am. But I do believe that my chi has it so that this is where I'm supposed to have my eyes. So it's easier for me to learn this than a normal person. And it comes to me more quickly than a normal person. And there's things that like I've learned or I know that I can't begin explaining to people because it's like it won't make sense yet, right? That kind of thing. So all of that stuff combined is why I know all I know. I struggle to find this type of community. Love this so much. EJ, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I also struggled to find it, and here it is. So thank you. Uh, Oliver Uche, I don't know how fast you type, but damn. I usually put things I eat or drinks or tobacco or alcohol or palm wine. Okay, I'll do my. Did your ancestors snuff or smoke? Can we see your altar? I think that's kind of intimate. I think that's kind of intimate, but yeah, sure, why not? Let's look at it. So, I don't know if you guys can see, or hold. Let me try to do this. Hold on. Let me try to reverse it. Aha. Yeah, it's simple. See? So, I have the representation of me, my agu, that which guides me, right? It used to be whispering in the ear, but after some time, I realized I need to put it up top. So, like I said, you're going to be changing it. The spiders have come, right? Udide has come and added her contribution, And then I have all the ancestors I know by name represented. Some are growing way faster than others, right? Some need to be replanted. I just recently planted everything, and so forth. And then recently, I just gave them eggshells, right? I gave them eggshells. So yeah, that's it. It's that simple, right there. That's my setup. Nothing elaborate, nothing crazy. But yeah, okay. Okay, so let's see what Joy asks. Somebody said they're on the same vibe as Joy. Is in Odinani, is there such a thing as a bad ancestor or ancestors you shouldn't have on your altar? If you didn't give that ancestor a funeral, you should not. If you did not give that ancestor a funeral, you did not. I'm assuming you're probably American. So that means the answer is no. There's no bad ancestors or ancestors you shouldn't acknowledge. Okay? There's no bad ancestor or ancestor you should not acknowledge. Because that's all a part of you. So whatever bad thing that ancestor was, you're that too. Okay? You have to know that you have that too. If that ancestor turned 20 and flipped out and started beating people up, heads up for when you turn 20, because you got that in you too. And part of it, it's not like a judging thing. You're not really here to judge. You're here to understand and learn. It's your family, right? It's your family. If you make conditions for your external family, you are going to make conditions for yourself internally, and that's going to hurt a lot more. Okay, so there's no conditions on that. Now, again, some ancestors in the Igbo tradition, they'll commit aro, right? They'll commit aro, and those ones we don't bury them. And if you're not buried, then you don't. If you have that type of death where you're not buried, then they stay off the altar and that kind of thing. But if you've buried that person, if you've given them 2 funerals, which is a funeral and a wake, then they're an ancestor, and that's what it's going to be. So I have to also say this too. So I think some people get it mixed up. Ancestor is direct lineage. It's not like uncles and stuff. It's direct lineage. Okay. So yeah, but yeah, some ancestors are not nice. Some are nice, but nice is based on the times, right? Nice is based on the times. We think we're being nice now. In 100 years, people are gonna be like, "Oh, can you believe they used to say hello to each other? That's so messed up." And then you'll have a descendant that goes, "Oh, I'm not gonna bring up Joy at my altar because she used to say hello to people." The morals change over time. So let's try not to look at the past with modern morals, okay? And that's part of the reason why we base it off of the decision that was made when that person died, right? Like when Hitler died, they make sure not to let you know where he's buried. Osama bin Laden, they make sure not to let you know where he's buried. All of that is the same thing. Those are the ancestors for those people that they didn't bury, right? But for most of us, especially if you grew up in America, everybody gets buried. So that's just what it is. Cool. The organs are not just inside us. Yes, the sprinklers are water. Yes, the water wants to join the live stream. Well, the water needs to calm the hell down, man. The water is not paying me to be shooting me while I'm trying to talk to my people. So, yeah, no, water needs to calm its ass down. I'll do my. What do you call people back home in traditions who have gift of dreams? Oh, this is a good one. Past, present, future can expose certain things, are afraid. Da, 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 da. So I might be getting the term wrong because at the moment I'm learning Afa terminology, the terminology of Afa, right? And this is not something that I can look inside and find. I got to read from somewhere or learn from somebody. So I might be getting the term wrong, but I know that people that have Osenabo in the Afa language, it says eyes, but it also says like power in the eyes, power in the eyes. So people that have what we would call supernatural perception, right? That could be one, or Oseora. Is it Oseora? Oseora would probably be like a third eye intuition. Oseora. It's probably Oseora. So scratch Osenabo, make it Oseora. But I'm just learning Afa language. I feel like the Afa video is coming soon, so I'm getting ready for that. And then plus, I just want to know it because like there's just so much you can learn from Afa. But yeah, that's what I'm currently doing now, is learning that. And I think Use Aura, because that's like a power. It's like a light power, but that's also like a third eye kind of thing, right? Odema. What do you call? Okay, cool. What do Nzes eat? Nzes eat. What do Nzes eat? Okay, all the traditional soups. Some don't eat draw soup. All of the traditional like pounded swallows, I guess they call them. So like gari is fine, pounded yam is fine, but it's just specifically cassava. That's not, they don't do that. Um, Palm wine instead of imported alcohol. Um, but some won't drink palm wine. I'm trying to think of some other things. And then just food from nature, just regular food from nature, and so forth. But they won't eat like a damn, like some won't eat cow meat because that's not from our place. Um, that kind of thing. It's really, it's each person does their own based on like their level of intensity, right? But yeah, just anything you can, just whatever your ancestors ate. But yeah, just a normal Igbo diet minus cassava and anything like imported from like the West and stuff like that. So I'll do my cassava is Portuguese, rice probably. Yeah, I don't know. I think rice is West African. It's native to Africa. What is Ozo, or is it Ozo that you're asking, Joy? Ozo, Ozo. And Ozo is a living ancestor. And Ozo is a living ancestor. So this is a person who has taken a title of a living ancestor. And in being a living ancestor, they are in the path of alignment with their chi. They are in the path of alignment with their chi. So they undergo an initiation, which involves like a ritual death and extended isolation, and the ritual death and rebirth. So when that happens, after that happens, they take on the Ozo title. And as an Ozo, because they are a living ancestor, they are consulted the way an ancestor would be consulted. They are the wisdom keepers, the teachers, the leaders, the guides for the community, and so forth. This is the Ozo, same thing as Nze. The Ozo and Nze system is widespread throughout Igbo land. In some places, Ozo is the final title after Nze. In other places, Nze is after Ozo. It's kind of all the same thing. You can even hear it in the words how much they're the same thing, right? And both of them, what they say is Onye chiri Ozo chiri. Onye chiri Ozo chiri Dibia. So if you're an Ozo, you're automatically a Dibia. If you're an Nze, you're automatically a Dibia. But your Dibia hood is less medicine, more works of the mind, right? Works of the mind and like leadership and things like that. So because the person is walk as living as a living ancestor, or as a living ancestor, they live by certain rules. They live by certain rules and guidelines. So for like Nze, Ozo is less strict than Nze, because Ozo is newer. But by newer I mean like probably came up in the last 700, 600 years. But Nze is way further back than that. So the older they are, the more, the more orthodox they tend to be. So with an Nze, for example, it's a man's title. And if I'm an Nze, I can only eat food cooked by my wife. That's another one, right? Sometimes it's not about what's being cooked, it's who's cooking it. I can only eat food cooked by my wife or by a woman who my wife has given the blessing. When I eat, I have to eat away from everybody, right? I don't eat with other people. And unless there's other Nzes and Ozos, then we eat in our room together. My ubi, room, if anybody is coming in, they'll have to come in backwards, right? You got to come in backwards and exit backwards. If back in the day, if this one was funny, back in the day they'd have this big elephant like a tusk horn, and if I'm walking around, I would blow it or somebody would blow it for me. I also saw there's this picture of this guy from like one of my in-laws ancestors from like early 1900s, and dude was like huge. He looked like a ultimate warrior, but he had like a bell on his body, right? And so something as you walk, something has to make noise, and so they used to blow a horn whenever you'd walk into like a new town or you'd walk into a new compound, like a new kind of, like, I guess, cul-de-sac. I don't know what you call it in America. They'd blow a horn and so forth. Um, if you're an Inze or Ozo, you would have to dress as an ancestor as well. Though again, they're not as strict as they used to be in the past. Like people aren't as like hardcore as they used to be. So you dress as an ancestor as well. So I won't wear all these garments that I'm wearing at the current moment. You dress as an ancestor, and then there are some that are like, for example, the head of the Inzes in my town. He won't speak English. He refuses to speak English. You can only speak to him in Igbo, right? So things like that. Like again, you're a living ancestor. Think of like, I don't want to open the can of worms, but think of like the Hasids in the Jewish community. That's very similar, but like they're more integrated with the community. It's not like super, super isolated, like Hasids tend to be. And insular. Insular is the word. Insular, right? So it's just a person I'm gonna live by how my ancestors lived, and then I'll be a living example of what an ancestor is, a living example of what an Igbo man is, and a living example of what a righteous man is, right? Because an Nze also cannot lie. An Nze and an Ozo, they cannot lie. They don't tell lies. Back in the day, they used to cut your tongue. They used to take your tongue and cut it several times with razors, and then they'd put chemical on it. I'll call it a concoction on it, og, right? That would keep you from lying. They would also cut your forehead like my barber did, right? They'd cut your forehead in the Ichi marks, which is like your solar. It's like the sun. It's like the rising sun, which is the face of your chi. It's like unlocking your spiritual face, right? So yeah, that's it. It was a situation. That's an Ozo, that's an Nze. So I will take an Nze title eventually. But you can't take the Nze title or the Ozo title or any title if your dad doesn't have the same title and if your dad is alive. And then I myself, as I'm the first son of my father, my dad is a chief, like he's a very high ranked chief person. So, but he's not specifically that kind of thing. My dad didn't officially, and he's again a well accomplished man, but he didn't officially get a title until his like 60s, because that's when his dad died, right? That's when his dad died. So you don't do it while your dad is alive. In some towns, if you have an older brother, you don't do it if your older brother doesn't have a title. But you can like give your dad or your brother a title, then go get your own, right? So yeah, it's no joke, it's no joke. Like earlier, I was telling the person about, you don't really start this until you have your own home. A lot of this is waiting. A lot of this is waiting. A lot of this is, it happens when it happens. It's not like you're gonna get everything right now, that kind of thing. Do Igbo share spiritual beliefs with other tribes? Yeah, absolutely. So any black African you see, we're all talking about the same general thing. We're talking about the same general things. Now, based on the way Odinani is, the geography of where you're at is going to, and your own history and your own family and your own priorities are going to determine how you approach it, right? They're going to determine how you approach it, but we're all saying the same thing because we're observing nature and redescribing it to each other, right? We also, like I said earlier, I know where the knowledge comes from, and we all pull knowledge from this place, whether we do it on purpose or not, right? Whether we do it on purpose or not. And that knowledge tends to have a certain imprint that is in alignment with nature and reality. Yep. Just finished Lepers of the Magical Dawn. Absolutely mind-blowing. Damon, you must have the IQ of 450 because that thing is no joke. Sometimes I'll read a page of it and I'll fall asleep. And not because it's boring, but just because I overheat. My head overheats. It's dense. Leopards of the Magic Dawn is very dense. It's dense. The author was definitely one of the people who helped enlighten me as a person. He used to be the in-house Debia. He used to be the in-house Debia until people started wilding out. But he used to be the in-house Debia and a friend of mine and so forth. And I always hold him in very high regards because he's the real deal. He's amazing. But yeah, that book is Lepers of the Magic Dawn is. So on Patreon, right? We have a collection of books, and I rank them in the folder's called recommended reading. I rank them in order based on like simplicity to complexity, and the more simple ones they're easier to get into, right? It's easier, like the author tries to walk you through it a little bit more, and then as you go down the list it gets a little more like difficult and that kind of thing. I think Leopards is one of the last ones because that one's very meta. So Damon, if you were able to read that, my hat's off to you. That's powerful. But yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. How do you navigate relationships with Christians? Nothing unusual happens. I don't know. Nothing. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a hermit though, so it's sometimes I do wonder if I'm navigating these relationships or if they don't exist. There's a lot of there's like Christians in my life that like they they know what time I'm on. They're kind of you know, but they don't say it out loud, and I don't have a problem with them. It's always them that has the problem. But yeah, no, I don't ever really have an issue with Christians. If you're a Nigerian, an Igbo person, I'll say Nigerian. If you're Nigerian, you're going to be surrounded by Christians 24/7. That's just what it is. But I don't really they're not like my most intimate circles tend not to be Christian. Like my household is not Christian. My home growing up, not really Christian. My mom is very Christian. My village, no, let me not say my village, but like my compound, my family compound, at least in the time I lived there, right, with my extended family, not too many Christians. It'd be like the men weren't Christian and their wives sometimes would be, right? And so everybody just kind of knew everybody's space and kind of respected it and so forth. My in-laws are a lot more than I am, or not than my side of the family. I came to find that my family is a little bit of an anomaly. Well, my in-laws are definitely more than my side, but it's not like I said, even my father-in-law, he thinks this is all hilarious. His dad was a Debia. My father-in-law's dad was a Debia, and his dad before him was a Debia, and they were like very powerful, very well acclaimed Debias who like people from very far and wide used to come and contract to do very advanced work, especially if they had like wars to fight and things like that. They would come and get the father or the son. And then we just recently found out that my wife's grandfather was a Debia, and then her father didn't want to do it, and then none of her siblings are doing it. But the traits pop up. The traits tend to pop up, So they say that the trait is more powerful on the mother's line than the father's line. Like if your mother has the Debia trait, the kids are gonna have it just from beginning to end. So that means both of my kids are definitely, there. I'll do my can't find After God is Debia to buy. However, it's in a lot of libraries in my area. Yeah, I feel like the libraries are stocking up more on it because they're like, yo, why am I getting this book? A lot of people are requesting it. It's that kind of thing. So yeah, if you can find it at a library, that's great. If you can't, it has things that Leopards of the Magical Dawn doesn't have, but Leopards of the Magical Dawn also has things that After God is Debia doesn't have. So I would recommend reading both, but if you can't get a hold of it, I have Leopards in the Patreon library. Just message me. I'll send you the link. That's super intimate. Yes, it is very intimate. They did snuff. Yeah. You can sense power in that altar. Thank you, Scott. I believe that. So inspiring. Thank you. Yeah, I was just inspired to share it with you guys. So if you guys want to do some I hope I didn't do the wrong thing. No, I know I'm fine. He can't get too shit to me. My parents shared with me that they did. Uche, that's great, man. Thanks for sharing something so intimate. No problem. Ray X, do you also mention your living parents when giving offerings? No, it's not necessary. You can just give, if you have an offering for your living parents, go give them the offering, You you don't you can't bypass them and start talking to them in more. You can just give it to them, right? You can give it to them. Do you know if there are any similarities or connections between Odinani, Voodoo, Fong, and Ewe? There's a lot. There's a lot. Any place you see Black Africans, we're talking about the same thing. We have different words for it. Sometimes those words are related to each other, right? Sometimes they're related. I think the Ewe people, Igbo people say Afa for the divination, right? Yoruba people say Ifa. Bini people say Afa. They specifically say Afa Ominibo, which is Igbo Afa, right? In case anybody wants to argue where it came from. In Nigeria, there's a group called Igala. They say Efa, right? But there's some Igbo people that also say like Ifa or Efa, something like that too. And then Ewe people say Afa, like most Igbo people do, right? So there's a lot in common there with the Fong and Ewe and so forth. Languages are related to each other. Even the words in the Afa language, and the words they use and things like that. There's a strong connection. There's a strong relation. I would say everything from maybe Gambia, all the way to Angola. We're all talking about the same thing. This is just what I've seen. I haven't looked too much into what they're saying in Zimbabwe and Zambia and South Africa, but I wouldn't be shocked if because again, I'm talking about nature. I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about humans, right? We're talking about reality. You understand? It's not really like a belief. It's a relationship with reality. That's the best way to put it. It's a relationship. What's your relationship with reality? It's not, do I believe the sun exists or not? It's, what's my relationship with the sun? And since we pull our knowledge from the same place, we tend to have similar relationships with these things, right? It's also based on cause and effect and about what works, right? Cause and effect and what works. So if I believe this Irishi is going to make the crops grow, and then they're over here and they believe this one's going to make the crops grow. Whoever makes the crops grow, we're going to start listening to that person a little bit more. Then after a while, it kind of just dissipates, and what works ends up working, right? It's not a matter of if you believe this, you'll go to heaven. If you believe this, you'll go to Igbo hell or whatever. You know what I mean? That's not what it is, right? So generally, if you have that approach, you all end up saying the same thing. And I'll take it, and I'm talking about Gambia to Angola. They're saying the same thing in Papua New Guinea. They're saying the same thing in Japan. They're saying the same thing in China. They're saying the Aztecs were probably saying the same thing. I don't know too much about them, and so forth. Right? Any place you see them folks, we're all saying the same thing. What do people who are orphans, for example, literally thrown away? Damn, literally thrown away by their mama due to. Hold on. What do people who are orphans, for example, who was literally thrown away by their mama, do out of spite? For their father. Do the children honor their parents once they're gone? Yeah, but your parents are whoever. Like, if your parents reject you and then another set of people accept you as your parents, those are your parents spiritually, right? It's not always about. I don't want to say it's not always about blood, because Americans like to oh yeah, my family are the Goths, you know. My family are the Goths. I don't need a real family. I'm a Goth, right? You guys got that mentality, man. It's like I gotta watch what I say. So, but a formal adoption, as recognized by the Aha, or the people you live amongst in your culture, a formal adoption is parenthood. So let's say if your parents put you up for adoption and you're adopted by somebody else, now you're dealing with the people who adopted you's the adopted family's line, not necessarily your blood family's line, and so forth. So yeah, that's that. But even at that, even if they're on BS, you still honor them, right? Even if they're on BS, you still honor them, which is very hard to sell to non-Africans. So, what do people who are okay? Yeah, you already read that. Thanks. Yeah, just parents and grandparents. Yeah, see, I had a feeling that, yeah, I needed to say that. I had a feeling that I needed to say that, so I'm glad that it was useful. Gary is also cassava. Okay, then no, Gary. No, Gary. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I should have suspected it too, because I don't know the Igbo word for Gary. So tomatoes too. No, no jollof rice. No jollof rice. Jollof. We know jollof is not from Igbo. Jollof is not Igbo. I think jollof is from like Senegal. There's Wolof. Wolof. Senegal Wolof people. I think that's their rice. Uh, but like even till this day, like if you get like elder Igbo men and you give them jollof rice, it's an insult. Like they'll get mad. Listen, I always, anytime you go on social media, especially African social media, everybody's trying to come for some Nigerians. There's nothing you can say that'll offend a Nigerian. You will never say to a Nigerian what my own mother has not said to me as I woke up from bed. You understand? So words, we're immune to you. It's all we don't care. It doesn't matter. Only way you can offend, if you listen, this is the key. If you really want to piss a Nigerian off, you eat your food weird, like you eat your food weird, prepare your food weird, or if they're older, give them some bullshit food. That's the only things those are the only things you can all that. Oh, Nigerians, they like to, they scam. They scam. Who cares? Fuck. Yeah. You're not you're not gonna say half of what our parents. Man, if you saw the insults our own mother and father have dished on us, you'll know that there's nothing you can say that can match. You understand? But those are the only things you can do. So like if like I had like elder Igbo men and I gave them jollof rice, they would be insulted by because it's like kids' food, it's children's food, right? That's like party food, like. You understand? Like all them jollof wars, I just know, if you talk to that person, oh, my dad's from Africa, all them my dad's from Africa people. That's who does the jollof stuff, So I'll eat jollof. But it's kids' food. It's like a snack, knickknacks, that kind of thing. So but if you really want to piss a Nigerian off, just get some gari and then like put ketchup on it. Oh, shit. Yeah, y'all should hit the like button. Hit that like button. Ray X, Ray X, I hope this is the person I think this is. I don't want to say your name, but I know we haven't talked in a long time. I hope you're doing okay. In your country. I'm trying to do the accent as a hint. But that similar culture in Trinidad, I've heard hoodoo people walk backwards, step backwards, like in Igbo culture. Yeah. Odemma. Your barber catching all the smoke tonight. Yeah, man, look, man. Yeah. I got trust issues when it comes to barbers. I don't know why, but I think I know what it is. I think when my natural line, one side shorter than the other, right? And so they'll sit there and try to make it symmetrical, and they shouldn't. And I always have to tell them, hey, don't do it. I didn't tell this guy because I haven't gone to a barber in like a year and a half. And I went and he just started just drawing whatever he wanted to draw. Look, I'm mid-30s. I got a few more days left of hairline. This guy went and did whatever he wanted to. You understand? So, great guy. I can tell he knew he. The worst is when they know they fucked up. And you see, they just start picking up tools. It's like, man. Yeah, man, that barber brutalized me. It ruined my summer. And my hair doesn't grow fast, right? It doesn't grow fast. Or at least I don't think it. I keep saying that, and it grows faster than I anticipate. So I'm just going to have to rock this for like a month or two. This is why I can't stand these barbers, But yeah, so I try to cut my own hair. That's just going to be my faith. It's what it is. Fate. No, Trinidad doesn't have hoodoo. We have Ifa and Obia. Okay, same, right, same. Yeah, Colin, I was in. Yeah, when I was little, I thought the whole walking backwards thing was a little weird, but I understand it now. Yeah. No, that shit's real. Ademma. What is your understanding of the mothers, witches, and birds they use in nature to represent them? In Ifa, they call them Iyami. In Voodoo, they call them something similar. Both say mothers. Well, they're not like, you know, in Igbo we say Ndiyem, Iyem, but they're not, Biko, don't call them witches. That's not good. Don't call them witches. Witches amusu. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. But those are the mothers, the matrons, the that kind of thing. Mother ancestors are known as Oppo, but works too. Nietzsche. You can say Nietzsche. Or Ndinyem, Ndiyem. Ndiyem. So one of the things you'll see that's interesting with a lot of the languages in that Niger Congo is that the letters I, Y, and then something else point to women a lot. But then it also has a relationship with the Afa language, okay? Because a lot of the codexes that say river also say woman. And river in Igbo is right? We don't use EM in Igbo. You can tell, or on day-to-day Igbo, it's an old term we probably used to use back in the day, and then we didn't, but it survived in certain parts of the language. So the women's meeting, like the meeting of women in a community, which in the past was a government, it's the government, and then the men would have their own too. They're known as Ndinyem, right? Or my Iye people, right? That's what the word literally says. So I'm sure the Ewe, or I don't know what other culture, Voodoo, I'm sure the Voodoo word's similar. An Igbo man told me to stay away from that stuff, and others ignored me when I was young. I expressed my interest in African spirituality. Yeah, they're probably Christian. The main point of African Christianity is to not do African culture. That's the main point. Just like the main point of American Christianity is not be gay. The main point of American Christianity is don't be gay. Main point of African spirituality is don't be African, right? Though don't be gay is starting to climb the rankings too, because I think everybody's tapped into American media, and that's just the current. If not, some local variation. I guess okay, cool. Isese, important. Obe. Not always compared to Odinani diasporic traditions. Okay. Not to always compare Odinani to other diasporic traditions. It's just the name of the game. But is there an Igbo version of Haitian Veve symbols invoke Arashi and Abara? Yes. So there's a lot of symbol traditions in the Igbo culture. One of the more popular ones is Nsibiri, right? Is Nsibiri or Nsedebe. That's one, but then there's one, and I don't know the name of it, but they use the same thing as the Haitian one you see, where you use Nzu, or I think in Haiti they use chalk, but you use Nzu, which is like a powder. You can turn it into a powder, and you create those same manifesting sigils and so forth. I addressed them a little bit in my Insibidi Explained video, but I'm not super knowledgeable about them because I didn't see them a lot growing up. But there are normal parts of the Igbo tradition, just the same way you see. But I just don't know the name of it. When I learn, I'll share it. So if you're not subscribe, you'll hear it, definitely. That's a good question. If not, couldn't you make them? Yeah, people already make them. It already exists. I felt a raindrop touch me. So we might have to make some plans based on that. I like how you see the truth in all tradition systems, unlike many nowadays talk about their tradition, religious way, as in the absolute truth. It means you know the truth. Oh, thank you, Ima. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's people just don't wake up and start lying. So, I mean, some people do, but most people don't. And lies don't survive. So, most things that last thousands of years, no matter who's saying it, there's something in there that's true, or there's something in there that's valuable. You know. And then again, we're also generally saying the same stuff. So I also understand a lot of you guys were exposed to other traditions before being exposed to this one. So I welcome the questions. It's fine. What does being chased in your dream generally mean? I'm not a dream reader. It's not one of my skill sets, so I can't tell you. But our Debia can do that as well. So, oh no, I don't know if he reads. I don't know. He doesn't read dreams. I'm sorry. Take that back. I don't believe he reads dreams. So, but yeah, there are some DBOs who can read dreams. My grand aunt used to specialize in that, though she wasn't a DBO or an is and why. My grand aunt used to do that. She came back into life as my daughter. So maybe you can ask my daughter. She's a 2-year-old. Caribbean is hard, different tribes, different okay. You need 20 G protein per day unless you're building muscle. You only need 20 G protein. Who, me? If I was just a divination system, correct. Excess protein turns into fat. You're like... How do we get into this protein thing? I said I ate all them proteins today. Lukumi is a tribe, Nigerian, Yoruba that we're taking. Science. Wrong combo. Nigerian parents will humble you. They'll humble you. They'll humble you. But yeah, people think they can just, you're going to just use words to offend a Nigerian. Rastafarian seems split in Abrahamic version. Split in an Man, I had some Rastafarians cuss me the fuck out. They had a live. So I'm like, let me go see what they're talking about over here. Yeah, I'm listening. They're just saying like, they're saying their stuff. I'm like, let me go talk, I went there and I'm sharing my views, everybody was being respectful, and this guy, I said something the guy didn't want to hear, right? About Haile Selassie. I can't. Oh, guy came for my ass, man. And so, but he was trying to prove that Haile Selassie was Jesus. So, Jollof is definitely Wolof word, Senegalese. It's the best jollof. JD Bailey, that's a lie, man. Stop that bullshit. Ndiyem or Umwada, perfect, yeah. Naibingi African version, which is elements, other sects, Ras are tighter with Eastern Orthodox Catholicism. Yep. What are your thoughts on Igbo mythological heroes? Yeah, it's cool stuff. It's very cool stuff. I'm waiting to see some comic books. I'm waiting to see some cartoons. I'm waiting to see some movies. I'm waiting to see how we can start making them present in new media. I can't do everything, though. You understand? I'm reaching the point where I may be spread thin within the next few years. But I still got a lot of room for new ideas right now. But if anybody's working on any projects and you want me to be a consultant or ask me questions, please reach out. Please reach out. I'll do it for free. I don't care. JD Bailey, catch up on Gary. Yeah. If you do them little, it's so funny because social media is all about rage bait. I know it's a lot of Nigerian, on the Nigerian end of social media. The rage bait is somebody preparing food in an annoying way. Somebody preparing food in an annoying way. Like, today we're going to teach you how to make Nigerian gari. And they start putting a bunch of bullshit on it, and then everybody in the comments are thunder fire you. You're a bastard. Yeah, but if you're trying to rage bait with like, America, they got American rage bait stuff. Like, what do they do for American rage bait? It'll be like, uh, trans women should go into the bathroom. Uh, tell me I'm wrong, and then everybody comes and starts arguing with that, that kind of thing. But a Nigerian one's just making bullshit ass food, and then people getting mad at you. But anything else, they won't. That's not even. Who cares? I support gay people and gay Nigerians. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Nothing wrong with it. I support as well. I support as well. Let me say that out loud. This is the main point of Christianity among our people, to estrangers from our yeah, exactly, estrangers from our heritage and our ancestors. Yep. So you just be kind of pointless, just be floating around with no power. Our Haitians pantheon called Iwa, called Igbo Loa. Okay, Loa. Directly correlate with Igbo gods. Yeah. So there was somebody I was talking to, because I've heard that the Igbo Loa, people don't really go to it because they don't know what its deal is, and it has to eat separate from everything. And I was like, oh, it's an Inze. It's an Inze. And so I was kind of giving the person like the instructions on how to approach it and so forth. So yeah, I think that Loa system is very interesting. It's very cool. Did all Igbo people use Nsibidi? Because I've heard Imo, we use something different. No. So, Nsibidi is a specific code. It's a specific code, right? But the symbols of Nsibidi are used throughout Igbo land, like the symbols within it. And the language is called Uli. Uli. So when people use Uli they use the same symbols, but Nsibidi is a separate code that sometimes uses the same symbols, sometimes has its own, right? Sometimes uses its own symbols, sometimes has its own. But no, not all Igbo people use Nsibidi. Most Imo people didn't, unless it was like Aro and Ndizogu. Trying to think of other Aro places in Imo. Oh, I just know about Ndizogu. Maybe Aro and Ndizogu, they did. Ekpe people, Okonko, mainly Abia State, Ebonyi State. Abia and Ebonyi State, they used it more. You understand? But we, Imo State and Anambra, no, we didn't use it. We used something else, which is Uli. It's generally the same thing, but Nsibidi is more secretive and coded. There's more code. And Nsibidi is not just the writing. There's also sign language, right? It's sign language and it's like plays. There's certain like you'll see a symbol on the ground and everybody who knows what the symbol means will start doing a certain play. And it's like, oh, okay, they're all in the same thing, right? It's like a secret messaging system too. And then of course for spiritual practice, prayer, all that stuff. But we didn't use it unless you're Aro. And then or Ebonyi, people from Ebonyi State, they used it. Anybody around that cross river, the river itself, the actual cross river, that region. So Ebonyi, Abia, they used, but Imo State, we didn't use it. Unless Aro and Ndizogu on them. I heard Nsibidi is not created by Igbos, but by the Ejagam. People say that, and the reason they say that was because a European went to there and saw that the Ejagam, I hope I'm saying their name right, the Ejagam people used it more frequently and densely. So he theorized that it's from there. But if you know the actual history of it, it's more than likely from Congo and Angola. It's more than likely from Congo and Angola, and it traveled upwards through the Atlantic coast into Nigeria. And the people who use it are Bantu, right? Or the ones we're calling Bantu now, right? The ones we're calling Bantu now, which is not all Igbo people. So if you know the history of it, it's from Angola. It's from Congo, Angola region. And it traveled its way up. It traveled up with Nganga. There's a medicine tradition called Nganga. A lot of you guys will be familiar with it if you studied Central African spiritual systems, right? But the reason they say it's from Ejagam is because when the Europeans went there, they saw it was being used more frequently. Like, oh, this must be where it's from. which is their dumbass mentality. And so now everybody that learns their shit from the internet is stuck on that idea. But, excuse me. But it's more, if you know the history of it, it's probably from Congo, it's probably from Angola, that region. Central Africa. It's probably from Central Africa. But yeah. The leopard society, if you dig further into it, you come to learn that there's a lot of it that ties back to Central Africa. You understand? Also, not to be disrespectful, but I'm tired of all these fake ass tribes in Nigeria too. Because I keep seeing a Jagam cultural stuff and it's just Igbo. It's just fucking Igbo, right? I was reading some Ejagam thing. They said that the people who write in Sibiri, in the Ejagam language, are called Osere in Sibiri. Osere in Sibiri. How do you say person who writes? Osere in Igbo. You understand? But everybody wants to feel unique, you know? I'm not that. I'm actually this. I'm not this. I'm actually that. So, but when I look at their stuff, I'm just like, shit looks Igbo as hell to me. I don't know. But yeah, no, Nsibidi comes from Central Africa. It is not originally Igbo. That's what you're saying. No, Nsibidi is not originally Igbo. I'm so interested in what you're talking about. I subscribed. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome too. Welcome. You'll have fun. You'll enjoy it. There are like 9 known systems of writing at minimum. Yes, there are many writing systems in Igbo culture. Right? There are many writing systems in Igbo culture. Igbos over-index online among discussions of ethnic groups in the Bright of Biafra. Because the only time the other ones want to talk is when they want to tell you something is not even... The only thing they got to present is... I'm joking. Okay, the Audrey told me to chill out. I'm being disrespectful. I'll stop. I'll switch topics. We only say Sabidi belong to us because the Jagam are not around to say otherwise. It doesn't belong to them either. Emo may use a different one. Right. And Sabidi is just the most known today with a modern movement. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yikes. Is there an Igbo Abara that is seen as abominable in Odinala? It is very perspective based. It is very perspective based, but nothing is wholly good. Nothing is wholly bad, including Chukwu. Nothing is wholly good. Nothing is wholly bad. It's raining out here. I hope my phone is waterproof anyway. Woo. Igwe. So yeah. So wholly abominable? No, I don't know. There's not one that's just completely abominable. But some people don't like Obunabali because they don't want to die and they don't want their loved ones to die, you know? Some people don't like Ekwensu because Ekwensu is scary. But Ekwensu's scariness is what keeps you alive, what makes things happen. So, some people don't like Amadioha because he hits people with thunder. So it's all perspective, but nothing is wholly bad. It's like saying, is there a river that's just evil? You know? Even the Ajofia, even the evil forest that bears the name Evil Forest. You know, Ajofia has a album on Spotify. If you listen to the lyrics, Ajofia is a very nice guy, you know. For those who don't speak Igbo, for those of you who speak Igbo, I recommend checking out Ajofia Newi on Spotify and YouTube. It's a masquerade, but it's so beautiful and incredible. And it's starting to rain. And the OG is punishing me for being disrespectful. I think I'm gonna go to my garage. Let's see if we can move this to the garage, bro. All right, give me just a second, guys. We're gonna move. Okay, how am I gonna do this? Give me a second, guys. I'll open my nostrils. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Hey, no, I'm still on live, bro. Don't say nothing crazy.
What's going on?
It started raining, so I have to switch locations.
Okay, good.
I was being disrespectful, and the OG started choking me. All right, hold on. Everybody can hear you insulting me. Your debut on my channel is you insulting me. Are you not ashamed? All right, so we're in the garage now. Give me just a second. Let me set up. Give me just a second. Let me set up. In fact, I gotta put the phone down. I'm gonna put this down. You guys just entertain yourselves. I've seen Raw's preachers turning away from Abrahamism. I had one tell me himself that he knows it's not our original way. You know, we were talking about on the group study, we were talking about the idea that, was it the group study? Or maybe I was talking to a person. I think I was talking to my barber. I was telling him that you know where somebody's going based on what direction they're facing, right? And based on the ethos of Rastafarianism, eventually all of them are gonna shed the Abrahamism because they're trying to be original, they're trying to be natural, they're trying to be African. That's the direction they're facing. Eventually they'll shed all that stuff. It emerged, in the time it emerged, it's hard to say when Rastafarianism emerged, but a lot of its ideas emerged in a time where there was an information vacuum. There wasn't enough information. I said that once that Haile Selassie was questionable as well. And they tried to roast me. I was like, it's documented. Yeah. I said he wasn't black. And the guy came for my ass, you know? I do my. Somebody is suspected to start from Ikoyi Jagan people. That's what they say. First time hearing about Mbari and Uri. Anyone have links? I think I have an Uli folder in the Patreon. So if you want documents, it's all there. But the symbols they use in Uli is the same they use within Sibidi. So yeah, if you know one, you know the other. Selassie's not a hero to his people. He's the reason there are a lot of Eritrean refugees in the No, he wasn't Jesus. How about that? What do you think about diaspora wars? Everywhere I go on social media, they try to overexpose me to it, and so it feels deliberate. There's a profile, they had this thing, I don't know if you guys remember one day when Trump said that they were gonna start looking for black identity extremists, right? I'm the only person that remembers these things, black identity extremists. And I think they caught profiles of who all these people were. And now they're trying to demoralize them by blasting them with shit. So they like any social media I go to, all I see is diaspora wars and we're not Africans, we're Cherokee. And I'm like, okay, I don't interact with this content. I don't click on it. I don't Google it. I don't comment, but it's almost the majority of my feed. Especially on like suggestion-based algorithms, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, I see what it is. You guys got me on a list somewhere, and you're trying to piss me off, right? And then plus it's negative engagement, right? So you're gonna see that stuff if it bothers you because that you're more compelled to. The algorithm has determined you're more compelled to comment, argue, that kind of thing. Click on who's saying this, who the hell's saying this bullshit, right? So a lot of times negative, positive, that Soldier Boy, there's an ancient, not ancient, there's an African American proverb, an African American ilu that says from Soldier Boy. He said, what did he say? You say, every time you say I'm whack, I make 2 cents. Because Soldier Boy was one of the first people to really go hard on YouTube with his music. And people used to go on there and comment that he was trash and he was whack, but all of that was engagement. So I think they have certain people identified as black identity extremists and they feed them certain stuff on their algorithm to like tone them down. And then they have just the general use of negative engagement, right? Like some people love diaspora wars. That's just what they live for. They're ready to just pop off on a black British MFer, but I'm not one of them, right? But I get that content more than they do, the people who like it. So they think I'm going to react negatively. I know what it is. It's cool. It's any I don't like it. Most sensible people don't like it, but it's all banter. It's all entertainment. Please, I send an Igbo mythological storybook titled "The Truth Buried in the Shallow Grave" to your email. I'm still waiting for your feedback. News and facts. It's for me to read an entire book. That's a lot of work, man. I appreciate everybody who sends. And I get a lot of them. I appreciate everybody who's sending it, who sends like finished works and things like that. If you have questions, I can help, but like, you can't just like send me a, 431 page manuscript talking about, hey, let me know what you think about this. And sometimes they'll message me the next. I shouldn't have been talking crazy about those Ejagan people. They'll come and message you. They'll come and message me the next day, like, "Hey, did you read it?" Like, what? So yeah, no, I'm very busy, and I appreciate you sending it. Keep sending if you have more. Um, I'll try to get around to it, but I can't make promises as far as reading it. But you also shouldn't expect me to either. But maybe send me a compelling synopsis, right? Send me and don't take it as disrespect. Don't take it as me slighting you. I would love to be able to, but it's a big time commitment, and I can't stop what I'm doing to do that. If that makes sense, right? I can't stop what I'm doing to do that. So it's not a disrespect thing. But yeah, send me like a compelling synopsis, and we'll talk. Some ancestors were LGBTQIA. We just didn't have a definitive term for them. That is true. That's true. What is the goal? How does one declare victory? How does one? I don't know what that means. Nigerian insults, so true. Even as a Christian, it's obvious. Notice the estrangement from our culture, which is ridiculous. Please get in on the Haile Selassie thing for a bit. Yeah, Haile Selassie. Yeah, I said, I said, I was partly trolling, but it's true. Yeah, I said he wasn't black, and they started asking me, what do I mean? I was like, he's not black. He doesn't see himself as black. He's not black. They started asking me, what does that mean? I was like, well, every country has their way they classify race, and in his country, he's not a black person, he's a white person. And he told the Europeans, hey, dude, I'm one of you. I'm one of you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm one of you. What the fuck is this, And he told the Rastafari, all the, our Caribbean brothers and sisters, hey, dude, leave me alone. I'm not Jesus. But he also did a lot of things as far as like, uh, uh, decolonization. He was a big advocate for that, and he helped in that process big time, big time, big time, right? And so yeah, but yeah, he's I just all I said was that because they were saying something along the lines of like basically like every black person should be seeing him as like Jesus. I'm like, it's not even fucking black. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he like literally had you know it's complicated, but they have a different classification system there than in the U.S. So sometimes people will look like what we call black in America, but they're not, and everybody in Africa kind of knows what's what. I mean, maybe newer people don't, because everybody's tapped into America. But yeah, not everybody that looks that way. That's why even that Tyler thing, even the Tyler thing is like, wait, this girl looks like she's from India. She's a normal Indian person. It's just an Indian girl, like but the rules are different in different countries, and then people are interpreting. I'm not supporting. She's like an industry plan. I don't care about whatever she's talking about. But I was just saying, you guys got to chill out on that. I don't. Yeah, she's the same thing as Cardi B. Like, I mean, maybe you think she's black, but I don't. All that bullshit is why I can't get a good haircut. All that bullshit is why I can't get a good haircut. Because people have been sitting there cutting Dominican hair their whole life, talking about this is a black barber shop. Then like a black person shows up like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. Women experience this more than I do. You'll go to a black hairstylist talking about, oh, I don't do 4C hair. Oh, you don't do black African human hair? Oh, okay, my bad. But then it's like, oh, this is a black thingy, but we just don't do the thing. So yeah, you guys gotta start being a little more discerning. Let's be careful. Let's be careful not to every Western definition of sexuality on our ancestors. All right. And diaspora wars are silly, distract on both. Yeah, big distraction. Romance, love, peace, happiness, mantra. Uh, Rastafarian, reggae, peace. Everybody likes peace and happiness. You'd have to elaborate on the question a little more. All smiles be, because I know there's a good question there. I don't think I'm understanding it, but like, what's Odinani's take on like peace and happiness? Yeah, everybody likes peace and happiness. It's to be loved. You're from Imo State. I just sponsored an Igbo quiz competition there. Okay, cool, very cool, EJ, cool. Would love to make it monthly thing amongst our secondary school students. Oh, super cool. What community, if you don't mind me asking? Igbos have Bantu ancestry, or at least some of us. I think some. I think some. I think some. But I don't want to say that because then people get into this weird eugenics. They'll start trying to rank people and shit. Who's this and that and all that stupid shit. So please, I don't. Sometimes I say things. I'm just like, I hope everybody can handle like what's being said, without making it weird. But we're in Ugazi. It'll be what it'll be. It is what it is. Will there be more medicine classes that go through deeper wisdom of Debia Hood? Meta Soul, are you in the first Debia class? So we have two Debia. We have one, level two. Level two is deeper than level one, but they're both exceptionally deep. So they're on Kedu. Though somebody's telling me the website's not working, which is annoying because I paid the thing. But they're on Kedu. So if you're interested in signing up, just go to www.kedu.me tomorrow morning and see what's going on, and sign up for one there. But yeah, we do have one. Or message me. I'll get you in. Some ancestors did in fact subscribe to identity. We just didn't have terms for it. Yeah, that's true. Anytime you bring up some gay shit, that's just where the conversation goes. guys gotta chill out on that. What the fuck? Y'all calm down. I'm not saying, and nobody's doing anything wrong, right? Nobody's doing anything wrong, but I just know certain topics, you put that in the water, that's just what the water, the color of the water is gonna be, so, and that's not my wheelhouse. It's not my interest space. Lima beans, Kool-Aid, mac and cheese would definitely upset me, exactly. Osere in Sibiri is Igbo language. Oh, I guess it's this exotic tribe called a Jagam, right? They border Igbo. They Google a Jag. Just Google them. Just Google them and look at what they're wearing. Just Google them, right? Just Google a lot of. They say Nigeria's got like 500 tribes. I think it's about 40. I think it's about 40. I think some of these people are capping, as the young people say. I think it's about 40. Last time I talked about this, I almost choked on Audrey, so maybe I should chill out, but I think it's about 40. Some of these people are, come on, dude, like, all right. Idioma. Oh, what does idioma mean? Good people. How do you say that in your language? Idioma. Exotic. Oh man, But for some reason, I can see these things and other people don't see them, or they're nobody. I mean, it's not everybody's interested in this shit anyway, so it's fine. That makes sense. So that's going to eliminate at least 90% of people. But for the 10 that are interested, you go east of the Niger River and squint. It's all the same people, right? So it's not, that kind of thing. Yeah, the root ganga for ganga is healer. Yep, same thing, same tradition. Ganga. Yep, same thing. Kamu, you got it. If so, maybe not Kool-Aid, try hibiscus. Who's trying to take Kool-Aid to the altar? Some people's ancestors drank Kool-Aid, though. Some people's ancestors drank Kool-Aid. Can you name the other writing systems? Not off the top of my head. There's the one that I'm remembering right now are Uli or Uri in my dialect, which means dancing as well. And then there's what's that word? Like edideji or something like that, like yam writing, right? And that kind of thing. And the reason they call it that is that it was mostly done on yam tubers for some reason. But yeah, there's a bunch of them. But Uli, just all that kind of thing. I have a hard time thinking they were even delineated. Like this is this system, this is that system, and so forth, right? So, but it's still something I'm looking into, and learning about and so forth. So I think it's easier for me to research Instability because there's so much online about it, and there's so many people that are interested in it that it's available. But some things I know that I have to go home to really study. So when I go home, I'll be studying those things. But yeah, there's different writing systems or styles of writing at home. Recently, we've been finding out that a lot of the groups that claim minority statuses are all Igbo in ancestry. Igbo land was really invaded by many groups during the slave trade. I don't think it's an invasion thing. I think that on the peripheries of any culture, like when you're on the outskirts of a culture, you'll tend to see yourself as more different. There's a term for it. I think it's like maybe I'm saying it wrong, like the tyranny of small differences or some bullshit. I can't remember what it's called. But the general theory is that a Dutch person and a German are going to see each other as radically different, but a Japanese person is going to see them as the same people. And if you can determine, I don't think Dutch and German are two different languages. I think it's two dialects of one language. It's pretty obvious. I'm willing to throw English in there as well. But the same thing happens with cultures in Nigeria as well. So all the culture surrounding Igbo, they all speak fucking Igbo. Everything they do is going to be Igbo. 4 market days, Ala Nigwe, yada, yada, yada. But the one will have like a British hat and now they're a different tribe and things like that. It's just like because they're close to each other, they can see the differences more easily. I think part of the reason it's easier for me to see this shit is because I live abroad. I grew up abroad. And so if Jagamo, they made in Sibidi. Let me go look them up. And I'm looking, I'm like, This guy looks like my uncle Sakwe. Like, what the fuck? you know? Isobo. Isobo was supposed to be some exotic, far flung tribe. And then this guy who's doing awesome work. And I suspect this from my village. But because he was there recently. And I was like, that's interesting. This guy, one of my favorite people online, uniting Igbos. He went to Isobo and was speaking Igbo, doing it like, yeah, we're Igbo, yeah, we're Igbo. But you look him up online, it says a bunch of other bullshit. So it's just small differences thing, small that they're super different from each other. On them, red juice came from hibiscus. It could, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. What type of ancestral ceremony do Igbo people attend when it comes to celebrating death? Yeah, so funerals. Funerals are like parties at home. Parties at home. Funerals are like parties at home. We've seen that meme of the funeral in Ghana where the people are dancing while they're carrying the funeral in Ghana where the people are dancing while they're carrying the grave. And so then whenever anybody does something, they all sort of plays that music and the people come. It's the same thing in our place. It's celebratory. People have two funerals. They have two celebrations during the funeral. The first is one is the burial. One is I can't remember. I don't know why I can't think of the term right now, but basically I guess what a Westerner would call a wake keeping. But it's just a party. You come eat. You hang out with the family. The family, they all wear matching clothes, and then everybody comes and celebrates and parties with them and so forth. So yeah, celebrates their life, or celebrates their death as well. Some groups delineated so they can get involved in the slave trade too. Yeah, that was a big part of it. That was a big part of it. That was a big part. Recently, I saw Calabari, not Calabar, but Calabari. I always saw that. I was like, that looks kind of fake. And, and then I think Asari Dokubo is their king or some shit. I don't know. He's from the royal family, and he's been saying that he's Igbo. That's his new gimmick, is saying that he's Igbo, which he probably maybe he is. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe he's not, but I'm not a fan. But he was walking in his palace, and they're like, Odogu, Odogu, Igwe, Igwe, Odogu, Odogu. And I'm like, wait, what? So I'm trying to figure out what the actual Kalabari language sounds like because a lot of my favorite music comes from Kalabari, the Kalabari culture. Rex Lawson, if you watch my High Life video, Rex Lawson, I think he's half Kalabari. His dad's Kalabari, his mom is Igbo. Then there's also like, we live next to each other, influence, that kind of thing. So who knows? But they were speaking Igbo in the palace, and he himself was saying he's Igbo. So what are these 500 tribes they have in Nigeria? Sometimes you're like, come on, dude. Like, really? Bagolomoji is Ajofia Newi. Is that one? Is it that one? Hey, Ajofia Newi. Yeah, the only masquerade with a platinum album. The only one with a platinum album. Keeping modern world identity terms, modern different times, different perspective, creating new. Okay. Has there been any Igbo tradition that have survived transatlantic? How has transit affected Igbo land? Oh, that's such a good question. So I can go on and on about this. Of course, of all the diasporic traditions, I'm most familiar with the Black American tradition. I live in America. The culture is just accessible to me, right? So that's the one I can speak on the most. Though I'm familiar with Igbo things that survive in like the Caribbean, especially like Trinidad, Tobago. I think maybe just Trinidad. I don't know, but people just say Trinidad, so I'll say Trinidad, Barbados, big time. Um, some things in Haiti here and there, but not heavy. Not heavy in Haiti. Haiti seems more like Congo and Ghana, Yoruba. What else? What else? What else? And then things in like Cuba with Abuqua and all that stuff. But in the Black American tradition, a lot of hoodoos reach out to me and tell me that the stuff I'm talking about, it sounds like hoodoo. Like the approach is similar to hoodoo. So, for example, Adibia is the human representation or embodiment of the spirit we know as Agun, right? Agun is a two-headed being, and the saying is that Adibia has two heads. And in hoodoo, they call a medicine man or a medicine woman a two-headed doctor. Just the general approach. A lot of the black sorority fraternity traditions have a lot of very like elements that look loudly Igbo to me, right? Loudly Igbo, from like the veneration of a certain tree and so forth and that kind of thing. Um, you just see it in a whole bunch of different stuff. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I see it everywhere. Especially if you go around like Black American cultures in like Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, DC, that area, a little bit Kentucky and Tennessee, as I'm being taught this, right? Even the Black Baptist Church, another thing I was taught was that the anvil at the bottom, like the symbol of the anvil, the reason they had that symbol was because when they first started, wanted to have their own church, they were, of course, weren't allowed into the white churches. And the first people to allow them to set up church were the Smiths, because the Smiths had their own sheds and shops and things like that. So they would have their services where the smithing happened. And so that thing at the bottom, the anvil, is to honor that tradition, that legacy. Well, one of the things that they would do during colonialism was they would target Igbo people specifically for the smithing, the ability to do smithing. And they would try to target villages and communities that had a smithing tradition, like that were ironsmiths. Because if you had them posted up in like DC, it's as close to the north as you can get without being in the north where they're free, but you then make the industrial mechanical machine parts and metal parts for the factories in New York and factories in Philadelphia and factories in all these other places. So a lot of Igbo people were brought into that area, and a lot of Igbo culture survives in that area or in places influenced by that general region. But it's everywhere, right? The church mother hats. I mean, it's everywhere, right? I mean, where do okra? Um, Even the word okra is from Okoro, right? Um, what else? I mean, it's everywhere. There's a theory that the term yellow bone comes from yellow Igbo. The term was originally yellow Igbo because in Jamaica they still say yellow Igbo or red Igbo. So red bone, yellow bone in North America and in United States, Black American culture. In the Caribbean, they say yellow Igbo, red Igbo, right? The general idea is that there's a lot of Igbo people that are like light skinned or red toned, right? So yeah, it's everywhere. I see more similarity than difference, right? But because of that, my algorithm won't won't let me rest. I get hit with all types of diaspora war bullshit, and there's nothing I can do. I block people. So yeah. Why are we moving? Is this a house tour? Derek, you a YouTuber now? No house tour. We took a look at the altar though, so no house tour. This is uh, me getting out of the rain. It was raining. It was raining. And damn, there's like 40 of you guys in here. That's a lot. Um, why don't I see? Why don't I see anything about Igbo culture in your house? Because I'm Igbo culture, right? You're looking for trinkets and beads because that's where your brain is at. That's where your brain is at. Is it that you think you're representing and presenting more Igbo culture in the world than I am? Between Uzoma, between what I'm doing and what you're doing, you understand? Is it that you're looking for an Igbo plate or what? You understand, right? You chill out, man. Talk about no Igbo. Okay. Anything I do is Igbo culture. You understand? If you had an ancestor that worked with Amadioha, what would that necessarily consist of or mean? From my understanding, my paternal side did, from the information provided. Yeah, so perhaps they were rainmakers, um, like the Ozo. If you go deep into the Ozo tradition, it's really an Amadioha thing. It's related to Amadioha. So probably had very powerful, very authoritative men in your family. And they were probably like rainmakers. Like rainmaking is the most obvious to me. But I would just continue asking your people. It seems like you, Olivuche, it seems like you have good people around you. So continue asking them. They'll tell you the extent of that and what that means. But yeah, the most obvious thing to me would be like rainmakers and like judges, rainmakers, judges, maybe also, maybe in the also ndinse, that kind of thing. I don't know. From my paternal side, that's dope. That's dope. Thick and well. Can you elaborate on appealing to Ekwensu if you are experiencing failures? Yeah. So, how do I put it this way? Oh, let me give you a good answer. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to say this. So you can, okay, so if you need to get things done, right, you can appeal to different Abara. Um, and typically you'll choose an Abara based on its characteristics and based on if it's, word of mouth kind of, if you've seen it work somewhere else and that kind of thing. So if you identify one that has the properties that you need to do one thing or another, then you can do that. Now, appealing to Ekwensu is not something I recommend because Ekwensu is very, it's extremely powerful and very volatile. So if it's like a war, that would make sense, right? Think of like a machine gun. All right, I'm going to war, I need a machine gun. But if the failure is I have roaches in the house, you may not need a machine gun, right? You may not need a machine gun for the roaches in the house. Okay, there's ants getting in through a crack in the wall. You may not need a machine gun. So Ekwensu is very heavy, right? If you're going to stop the Russian invasion of Ukraine or vice whatever, that would make sense. But for like interpersonal one-to-one things, you don't really need to. The Ekwensu is a bit much. Um, but so as far as that goes, 99.9% of Igbo people, you're going to appeal to your chi. Go to your chi first, right? Go to your chi first. Because the thing that makes Ekwensu, it comes from Chukwu. It comes from the chi. It's the same thing, right? So, but yeah, you can appeal to Ekwensu. You can perform what's known as Igor Mo, which is literally being possessed or occupied by the spirit of that thing, of Ekwensu, of Amadioha, of Nemiri, all these different things. When our ancestors would appeal to Ekwensu, they would always make sure that the shrine was destroyed right after the job was done. Because if the Ekwensu spirit lingers, it causes a lot of chaos and disturbance for people and violence. Violence mainly. So it is a machine gun. It may not be necessary. It can be done. Um, if you need to know how, just like schedule a one-to-one on Patreon. I can talk to you more in depth. If you're a woman, I really wouldn't advise it. Right? I really wouldn't advise it. I wouldn't advise doing stuff with like masculine Abara. Let me say this, if you're a woman who's interested in men and marrying men, that's the best way to say it, right? Because men will sense that. Men will sense that. They'll be like, it's like a repellent. You want trouble with the Rastas. It was funny. The Rastas were a big part of my Ijewa, my journey in life, my learning of who I am and so forth. My dad is My dad is a Rasta by practice, you know. My dad is, my dad grew up in, my dad's like young man era was like the 80s. And so in Nigeria, a lot of Rasta music and culture and just kind of philosophy and so forth was really popular. So he takes in a lot of that. And I grew up around and with it, right? I grew up around and with it. But he's not like a full blown Rasta. He's a cool guy, you know. And yeah, so I grew up around and with it. I remember one of the most enlightening experiences I ever had. I was 19 and I was reading a lot of books. I was working at a job I had no business working in. Like it was like the job was like if you had a restraining order on somebody, they would send me to stay in your house so that the other person doesn't come, which I'm just some dumbass 19-year-old kid, you know, like what the fuck am I gonna do? What am I gonna do if your baby daddy comes to try to kill me, you know? And they shut down the business too, so like good. But so I had that job and I remember I'd stay up all night. I'd be drinking like energy drinks and reading about like Rastafari, Islam, history, and so forth. And there's this song, Jimmy Cliff. Jimmy Cliff was huge in my household because my dad is on that vibe, you know. Though I don't know if Jimmy Cliff isn't necessarily a Rasta, right? I don't know that. Um, my dad was a big fan. He had a lot of his music and stuff. So I was listening to this one song, and I come to learn that the music is Nyabingi music, the backdrop of the music, and it's just playing. And I had a moment. Something happened, man. That's probably when I went crazy, right? And so, but I started to just kind of see how things in the universe were connected. And I saw that they're connected in the way numbers were connected. And then, like, and just shit like that. I just started having all these, like, thoughts, you know. I always called it my Buddha phase because for like 2 days I didn't sleep and I was just chill. I was giving people good ass answers, right? What felt like good ass answers then, but it's kind of now, it's just what I do. Like all this stuff I talk about now, that shit started coming out then. And I remember had like my heart started to hurt because the energy drinks. And then I took a nap and then it all went away, right? But, you know, how the hell did I get on this topic? Oh yeah, Rastafari. Yeah, so Rastafari, it was all in there. It was all part of what helped me step out of it. You know, I somehow did. I think it was like an Urago, honestly. The self-imposed Urago. Not recommending drinking energy drinks, by the way. I was a kid. I didn't know anything. They have, but majority Igbo writing projects is run by someone named Sugarbelly, a deeply she copyrighted it. Hey, so here's the thing I've noticed with like these writing people, right? Like people that get really interested in like Igbo writing systems and things like that. I'm just gonna tell you guys the truth. For some reason, these are kind of going haywire. I don't know I think you said sugar belly. I don't know, but the thing you're describing sounds like what another person. I remember I made my Instability video and somebody who I'd never spoken to but I had a lot of respect for called me and is like, I need you to take down your video. I was like, wait, what? Who is this? This is whoever. I did blank. I'm not gonna say the name. If you don't take down your video, I'm gonna sue you. I was like, dude, you can't sue somebody for what are you like, bro? What? And so all these like writing people, like, oh, I'm into instability. I'm into for some reason the next thing they always want to do is start suing people and going crazy and having online conflicts. I'm not super interested in these writing systems. It's not like my wheel. Like I'm not. It's cool. It's okay, but who cares? You know, I don't care about that stuff. Personal doesn't mean that you shouldn't, right? It's just me. Just to me, that's not what resonates with me, as far as all the stuff I look at. But what you just described with the copywriting and everything, this is like the third person to go down that exact same route and with the exact same interests. So I'll leave that shit alone. I find that funny though. You can't You can't copyright language, written languages. It's impossible. You can't do that. You can't legal in anywhere. You can't do that. Or spoken languages. So long as it's classified as language, you can't own it. You know. Imagine somebody sues you for speaking Spanish. I think Oka group is trying to revive Insipidity while writing modernizing Unicode. Sure. Where can I join to learn Insipidity writing? Damn. There's some places online. Credit and Debe scripts for Igbo, but according to her, it has some shortcomings, so she paused the project for now. Okay, all right. Somebody said 100%. Okay, I'm gonna keep good facts about the hair. What did I say about the hair? Okay, about yeah. It's like, you this. I mean, look, I'm not gonna tell people who's fucking black or not. I was trolling the Rastas, but I mean, I know what I was saying, and Holly Selassie knows what I was saying too. But yeah, you get all these things where it's like, I don't know. Then all of a sudden when you see an actually black person, that person's like an anomaly in black spaces. Like they're like a spectacle in black spaces, Like, I'm trying to think of some examples. I remember when people were on Gabrielle Douglas, because she had like the ponytail of a black African Negro. Everybody's like, yeah, black gymnast, black. And then she had her hair, and everybody started stressing the fuck out, And it's like, let's not do that, Let's not do that. So yeah, sometimes this idiot barber, me and him got into it. He said he can't cut my son's hair, and I had it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because it's like my son's black, And this is a black barber, support black businesses ass MFer too. So yeah, all that shit, and then like, this is when Tyler is saying, hey, I'm not black, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, I know, the fuck, and it was like, what does she mean? She's like, yo, dude, leave her alone, she's not a fucking black dude, like, leave it alone, that's not you, that's an Indian young lady, bro, leave it alone, with a little bit of some, maybe Zoha, Sosa, Zulu or something, but as an Indian young woman, leave that Indian person alone. If you're going there because you think this is some black shit, if you like her music, then yeah, then go all in. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So yeah, that mentality creates this thing where like, if you're actually black in a black place, it's this like anomaly. Like like in high school, like I was like Wesley Snipes. Oh, no, he's dark. He's dark. Like, bro, I'm like regular skinned. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, this is the tone of 80% of black people on planet Earth. Like, but it was a bunch of mixed people. The black community in my hometown was like people whose black dad, like, just kind of breezed by town, got 3 white girls pregnant and left, So it was a bunch of mixed kids and me, and then like people from Sudan, but they had classified the Sudanese people as African, and they didn't know what the fuck I was, because I wasn't necessarily, but I didn't look like them either. So it was just like, man, he's dark, he's dark. It was all good though. But yeah. Ethiopia and Somalia traditionally never viewed themselves as being the same as other Africans. Historically, they viewed themselves as being more similar to Arabs, Afro-Asiatic, because they are. They're that's their brothers. They're Arab, like Araby people. That's their folk. The Caucasians. Someone wants to teach me anything about Igbo language. That's not someone I want. Okay, we're still talking about someone else. I want mama. Hey. Oh, EJ, what? Who am I talking to? EJ, who am I talking? EJ, are you EJ from Kedu? Please message me if you're helping our mama. I'll be a part of that. That's pretty cool. I thought Bantu was just a name. They're trying to use Bantu as the new N-word. Let's just put that. Joy, you're very observant. That's the N-word. That's the N-word. And the people who talk about it the most are South Africans and people from the Horn of Africa. People who have an existential need to say the N-word. That's the N word. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what they mean. They're talking about the N's, It's like when we say N word, we really mean those guys. So just yeah, I don't know. Just this people are goofy. The world's goofy, but it's all good. Or the people of the world, the people of the world are goofy. But that Bantu, that's the N word. There's a lot of N words. You got. There's some people caught on to urban. Urban was obvious. That's the N word. Urban cult. What the fuck does that mean? You know, Bantu's the N word, bro. I don't know. And you go somewhere, they're talking about some Bantus, they're trying to say the N word. It's always going to be someone that talks like this. Someone that talks like this. The Bantu. They're not black. Yeah, we got the whole jaw. Let me not go too far into that, but hey. Hi, sir. Is there a way I can be submissive side, musty slocks, cuckold? Is there potential for this? Okay. I was deeply offended. Or suggested I can. Okay, we're talking about something else. Linguists in Nigeria is 45. Yep, 54 to 50 ethnic groups. Yeah, exactly. Everything else is a dialect under the, okay, all right. So the anthropologists have said the same. I was about to say it's about like 40, 30 of them. You know what I mean? Like, some of these people are doing too much. It's like, oh, I'm a Yoruba guy, but I wear a fitted hat, so now I'm a whole different ethnic group. It's like, yeah, come on with that bullshit. Yeah, there's about 40, 50. Yeah. Or like you said, 54, whatever that sounds more accurate. Do you think there's such? Yeah, every ethnic group has subsets. Absolutely. Every ethnic group has subsets. Now, some subsets will say they're an entirely different thing, right? Which anybody can be whatever they want to be, right? But if we're like, if you do like DNA, it's just going to tell you it's those people, right? Nobody ever takes a DNA test and figures out that there are any of those extra little Nigerian tribes. It's always Igbo, Edo, Yoruba, Hausa. What's the other ones that people usually get? Fulani, Kanuri. Uh, yeah, it's always like, and then nobody ever figures out their Ejagam or whatever from fucking Efik. People figure out their Efik. Oguni, Ijo. Those, I don't know about Ijo. Okay, Ijo is real, but it's not as big as it's claiming to be. Aneke script is another writing system. 500 is mad. Yeah, a lot of other people call Eastern region Omo Igbo. Even a lot of middle belters get called Igbo too, right? And they're like, oh, that's funny. And then you go to their place like, oh. I had this friend who was Ebira, and um, he says that the Northerners, they call them Igbo, but he doesn't know why, and that they're not Igbo. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I figured out that their word for stone is Okuta. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, dude, okay. But hey, listen, the current group that we got that are Igbo, and it's a confirmed fact, we're dealing with the A team. We have D1 prospects: Imo, Anambra, Enugu, Ebonyi, Abia, Anyoma, Obibo, and Rivers. The A1 team, I don't think we need any more recruits, man. We got A1 hitters. Yes, Unify Igbo's. Hey, God, I love that guy. Unify Igbo's now so cool, so cool. He has a more optimistic look at these things, and I appreciate that. I think he's doing the right thing. I'm doing the wrong thing, disrespecting people. But yeah, we already got A1 hitters. We're good. The bench is deep. The bench is good. If someone wants to put on a hat and say that they're fucking from Tokyo, that's fine. Try to explain the concept to an African American lady. The reference to race. She cannot understand Africans had their own racial categories before Europeans even entered the chat. Yeah. I think race is such a big part of American culture that it's hard if you grow up in American culture to realize that it's subjective, right? Because in America, it's presented as very, very, very concrete, and so it's hard, and it's the core of the culture in this country. It's the core of it. It's the core of everything. So it's hard to grow up in this culture and then step out and then realize it's subjective, right? Or to have somebody come and tell you that it's subjective. That's kind of like it's like I don't know. I would imagine that's a very disorienting thing. Like when the Dominicans say that they're not black, they're not fucking black, right? They're not, in their world, they're not black people, and that's just what it is, it's that kind of thing. So, but it's the same thing with I go to this Ejegam or whatever, and the guy's name is Nduishi Okoro, and he's not Igbo. And in my head, I'm like, what the fuck? But in his world, that's not the classification they use. And I've just learned to say, all right, our bench is already deep as hell. We got a strong ass bench. We don't need any more. We don't need any more. The starting line is crazy, you know, from the vets to the rookies. Everything is strong on the team. It's fine if this guy with his hat on is whatever, then let him be that thing. So, but yeah, no, I think for most Americans, even white Americans, like a lot of Europeans will make fun of like white Americans too, for because of how things are contextualized in the Western Hemisphere as opposed to the Eastern Hemisphere, right? And so, yeah, it's not like the Americans are wrong. It's just in this country, this is how we classify this shit. So if you're coming here saying some other thing, you sound crazy. You know what I mean? I understand that argument. This is how we classify this. It's not a choice. It is, I'm describing reality. You can't tell me in your country you have one leg, even though I'm looking at you having two legs. Over here, we call that two legs, right? So imagine somebody coming and telling you that in some countries you can have two legs, but it's considered three legs. It's like, what? That kind of thing. So, but yeah, race is subjective, and it's usually constructed in a very specific way. It's always a caste system. It's always a group that comes and says that they're white, and since they have said they're white, everybody else is black, and usually the black people are the people they're trying to exploit, right? So usually the ones that are white are not from the place that they're claiming that they're at, right? They're not from there. Oftentimes they can't live in that climate naturally. So they need the black ones to do all their physical work and their outside work and to take and siphon from their culture and things like that because they're not from that place. They don't have that culture, right? This should happen in China, This should happen in China. The the communist revolution in China is very comparable to a slave rebellion, right? But people won't. You'll look at Chinese, be like, wait, what's the difference? Like, what do you mean he's a Manchu and you're a Han? And what the fuck? What are you talking about? But that's the same thing happened over there. It's the same thing. It's a worldwide thing, right? When a group comes, takes over a settled group, and then because they can't naturally live there and because of their ethos, they say, we're the white ones, right? We're the ones who should be genetically protected. And then the rest of you are something else. And genetically protected means you can't breed with us, that kind of thing. Because it's a smaller group, they'll tend to inbreed more, right? If they're like in tropical places, especially, they'll inbreed more, that kind of thing. The other ones get slaved out, and so forth. And yeah, so it's this bizarre ass thing human beings do to each other. It's worldwide, it's everywhere. And so yeah, so you go to these different places and it's like, oh, I thought you were about. But like now, because America is like the dominant thing, the American system is what's spreading. So everybody's just kind of uniformly kind of going with the American system and so forth. So, which has been an awkward fit in a lot of cultures. It's been an awkward fit in a lot of cultures because you'll get like anyways, that's a whole different thing. It's hard to explain, but yeah. Try to do something else. They sure did. Derek, did you hear about the language they added to Google Translate? Wolof Fulani, Ga, Kabiko, I guess. They even added Jamaican. That's dope. No, that's dope. Google Translate has been a major, major tool for everything I do too. So sometimes I need to go there a lot. So I'm glad those different languages are being represented. That's super dope. That's super dope. I think the rest of Nigerian political cultures are panicky about Igbo unification. Yeah, of course, of course, of course. Is there any group? Is there any books in the medicine library about the afterlife? A lot more. Sure, I spelled it. I met a soul. I promise there is, but it's a soft promise. So if you go there, there might be a folder called Namdi. What's up?
Can you tell me about them?
Yeah, you know I'm doing something. Ask your mom.
I asked her.
Okay, go. Hurry up before Ola comes, please. Hurry. Uluma, come get your daughter. If my daughter sees me talking to this phone, she'll want me to talk to her instead. So that'll be the end of this live. Hey, lady. Hi, lady. You want to eat? Yeah? But it's so late. Ulu? Ulu? Uluma? Oli! Anyways, have the love. Okay, where do you pass that? Oh, gee, Belize too. Everybody in the chat hit like. Everybody in the chat hit that damn like. Asari Dokubo is of Igbo ancestry. No cap. His ancestor is called Ediabali. Asari Dokubo is a deeply stupid human being. But yeah, he's probably, maybe, I don't know. Igbo influence is present so much that the first couple to marry were Igbo, and it's on the flag. Damn, I didn't know that. Interesting. Delineating ethnic groups is as complex as closely related languages. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's again, these are the hard things that the people don't like. It's not like people are choosing to be like they don't want to associate. It's just hard to where do you draw the line? It's a spectrum, right? It's a spectrum. At least heavily Igbo, repat. I don't know what that means. Question was ordinary perspective. It may be what's missing. Cultural mantra. Oh, okay. All smiles be. So it is a good question, but I think that's like a whole discussion. I think it's a whole discussion, right? But all that, like a lot of the like peace, love, light stuff, that's just repackaged Christianity. It's just Christianity, right? Just I want all the good stuff and none of the bad stuff of the world. And the Igbo worldview is that it's all part of the world. It's all part of the world. It's all in high yellow. They call that all the time red bone. Yeah, red Igbo. Can I call Nemiri from a lake or a river by my house? I live in America. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Nemiri is the Basi Dinamili. So whatever spirit that water's spirit or the water itself, right? Then yeah, that's who you're communicating with. Only she'll have a different name based off of the body of water you're interacting with. So if the water you're near is called the Potomac, then it's Ne Potomac, you know. If it's Njaba, then it's Njaba. If it's Emo, it's Emo. If it's Omambala, then it's Omambala, Idemili, all these different ones. Oshun, that's a river, that kind of thing. Can you elaborate on the Igbo pyramids? Yeah, definitely. So the Igbo pyramids, the 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 famous ones that were photographed are from Nsude, but they were common throughout Igbo land. Those were one of the things that the British had, and their Christian minions demolished. But they are shrines to Allah. They are shrines to Allah. They are known as Akwali Omumu. Akwali Omumu, right? Akwali Omumu, those shrines can be shaped like pyramids, step pyramids, cones, domes, anything like that, right? That protruding shape from the earth. But they're shrines to the earth. I don't know what else to say about them, but they used to be very common. There's a old British propaganda movie called Daybreak in Udi. Is it Udi? I think it's Daybreak in Udi. And you can see in the background of one of the scenes is a very big pyramid. But you know destroyed all of them. So, and I'm sure the Christians also, like, a lot of the stuff that was destroyed, like, the British were not in Igbo land for a long time. They were there for a very, very short amount of time. They were like, if you think of like the span of history, they arrived at the time of my, hold on, great, great, great grandfather, right? So three greats of grandfather. They arrived at this time and they left at this time. So, like, this person in the middle, Kwebu, his whole life, it was a British colony. This person, his father, was the person who met the British. And then this person watched them leave. His son watched them leave. So three generations, right? They were there. So a lot of that destruction and ransacking stuff happened in like the 80s, way after the British had left. Happened in the 80s, happened in the late 70s and early 90s when the Christians really started getting popular. Most of the Christianity in Igbo land was spread by other Igbo people, but the Europeans laid the seeds, right? They laid the seeds and so forth. And then those seeds spread and started tearing shit up. And it's just recently that people started pushing back. In fact, we're starting a legal defense fund against them, right? From destroying shrines and defaming people and just being general marauding bastards. So that's the project we're doing right now. I interviewed somebody to be a lawyer. Started giving me Oyibo prices. Started thinking, give me Oyibo prices. So I'm still waiting. If you're a lawyer, or if you know a lawyer or a barrister at home in Nigeria, please have them reach out to me. We got some people we've planned it out. We're ready to go. I don't have a name for it yet, but just if you know any lawyers or barristers, have them reach out to me. We're going to set up a legal fund because, like, even like Christians will, like, if you're like a DBA, Christians will call like the police on you and they'll beat you. If your landlord is Christian, they won't let you rent. Like, you won't be allowed to rent in their house, in their apartment. Just discrimination. So we're gonna stand against the discrimination, begin pushing back. If we can win a few strong, well-publicized cases, they'll slow down. The issue is nobody pushes back on them, right? Nobody pushes back on them because they have the majority. But yeah, if you guys know any attorneys, barristers who are based from home, I don't care what ethnic group they're from, I don't care what state they live in, it doesn't matter, so long as they're as passionate about what I'm talking about. Then they'll be paid very well. But if they come to me with Oyibo prices, people hear my voice and then they start they start fucking throwing prices at me. So they come with Oyibo prices, right? It's their ass, they won't be hired. So whoever the lawyer is will be on a retainer and be available for people that are facing discrimination to, like, advocate for them and fight for them, right? As well as doing some, like, community education work. Sir, is there a more Jewish, Catholic, Muslim religion influence during the slave trade in the region? No, not really. Because they weren't, like, Christianity didn't arrive till the slave trade ended. In fact, the Christianity came as a part of the ending of the slave trade, as strange as that sounds. This is specifically Igbo history. So the Christianity doesn't arrive till after the slave trade, right? It comes with the British, the Irish, the Scottish people. And, like, formerly enslaved people that were, like, different ethnic groups, Sierra Leoneans, Yoruba, that kind of thing. Even the word Ndewo was from Sierra Leone. It's not original Igbo. It came with the Sierra Leonean missionaries that they brought to come evangelize Igbo people. They introduced the term Ndewo. They have, I think their name for, like, Amadioha is Ngewo, something like that. And they use that as a greeting. All right. How do you appeal to your chi? Okay, well, you speak to it, right? So if you grew up in a tradition with prayer, your chi is your creator. Your chi is your creator. So if you grew up in a tradition with prayer, you're already halfway there. The things I would tell you to do is to when you're talking to your chi, don't talk as equal. Talk to your chi as an equal, not as like something that's like over you or bigger than you or better than you, right? Like none of that kneeling shit, none of that none of that taking don't take your hat off. No no get on the floor for any weird reason. No, you can close your eyes if you want. I close my eyes just because um I think I'm sure white people will call it ADHD, but like because everything I see, I take in. So sometimes when I'm thinking of something, my head goes, "Oh, there's a bottled water stroller," da, 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 and all of a sudden I lose my train of thought. So I'll close my eyes so that doesn't interrupt me. But like, if you're familiar with prayer, that's that. If you have an altar, I would start there. I think an altar is really important to externalize the understanding. Um, in the Igbo tradition, we visit our chi. When we visit our chi, we bring coconut oji, water, nzu. You don't really need to bring food. You don't really need to bring food. Your chi doesn't eat. You don't need to bring food. So the way you feed your chi is by you eat. You yourself, you eat. But yeah, and just begin that process. I have in the Patreon, by the way, this question is like a whole topic. I have a Patreon like steps on how to communicate with your chi. So if you're a patron, message me and I'll give you the link. So I have the phrases in English and then I have them in Igbo and then I have the steps. It's all there. I also have a video called How Our Ancestors Prayed. I usually try to answer a question instead of referring you to a video, but I have a video called How Our Ancestors Prayed. I'd check that video out, How Our Ancestors Prayed. I would check that one out. But appealing to your chi is that's how you appeal to your chi. Yes, Igbo pyramids were the site where Allah adherents go to because that's where the connection to Allah was strongest. Absolutely, absolutely. Yep. Uh, we have decided to refer to Satan as Ajon Mo and not Ekwensu. Good. That's good. Ekwensu is actually in the who the Bible calls Jesus. He said the plot thickens. The plot thickens. The plot thickens. Yeah. Well, let me not say yeah. I'm going to reserve because Jesus also says he's Lucifer in the Bible, right? Jesus also says he's Lucifer in the Bible. And if you have a beyond surface level understanding of what's going, the actual battle that's happening in the Bible, right? The concept of the demiurge and things like that, you'll understand why Jesus says that he's actually Lucifer and why Lucifer is depicted as the bad guy. And there's a book of Judas, I think. There's an excerpt. I found it funny. I was super interested in this one time. He goes, he's laughing. He starts laughing. There's this part they left it out of the Bible because it was bugged out. But he starts laughing, and then his disciples are like, "Why are you laughing?" And he's like, you people worship the wrong God, and it's basically funny or something. Like you people worship the wrong God. If you guys knew the real God like me, you wouldn't be acting like this." And they're all like, "The fuck?" But they cut that part out of the Bible. It's like a book of Judas or some shit like that, or some one of them hidden Gnostic kind of books. But yeah. Ekwensu is closer to the idea of Jesus than Ekwensu is close to the idea of the devil. Satan is just Satan because he doesn't exist in Igbo culture, right? Exactly. In order for a Satan to exist in a belief system, you have to be grounded in the idea that something is all good. And therefore, if something is all good, where does all this bad shit come from? Well, it comes from this thing that's all bad, which is somehow not a god, but it has powers like a god and has probably more influence, according to what I'm saying, than a god, and so forth. And so, if you don't if you just understand things are just what they are, right? Fire is not good or bad, it's just fire. It's not like not everything has a permanent moral and a capital, or like a what's the an objective moral essence. Not everything has that. Nothing in nature has that. Nothing in reality. No person has that. So where would that even come from? Then the idea of a devil doesn't really make sense, right? Or them, I swear I don't even know what Satan means. Oh, it don't mean shit. I don't even think the character exists in the Bible, honestly. I don't even think the character exists. This weird as that sounds, I don't think the character exists in the Bible. It's just a composite of all the proposed villains, right? So the serpent is supposed to be the devil. And then the angel that was cast from heaven, which isn't in the Bible, by the way. No, that's in the Bible, I believe, is supposed to be the devil. And then the guy that shows up to tempt Jesus is supposed to be the devil. And then the guy that God makes the bet with against Job is the devil. But it's never implied that these are all the same character. It's never implied that these are all the same character in the Bible. It's just the Bible for mouth and the Bible for text are two different things. So Bible for mouth, that one, it's all the same character. But in the actual thing, it's never implied these are the same people at all, right? Because if the serpent is the devil and Jesus curses the devil by making the devil not have legs, right? Are any of the other characters that are called the devil depicted as not having legs? Is that explicitly stated anywhere? Or slithering or serpent-like and that kind of thing, right? Yeah, so they're not, what was I gonna say? I can go in on this, by the way, because if you understand Odinani well, you understand what they're talking about in the Bible. Like, my wife is getting like wool blankets, and they keep leaving little things on me. But yeah, we can go really in on this Bible shit. But I don't know if you guys are ready for all that. But yeah, no, Jesus says he's Lucifer, and then again, who is this character? It's just the guy we blame for all the bad shit that God does, right? That kind of thing. I think Fela says it well. There's an Igbo proverb that says the exact same thing, but Fela Kuti says it in a song. He says, if water kills your child, it's water that you'll use, right? So if water drowns your kid, you'll still need to drink water. And that's how the universe is, right? That's how the world works. That's how the Abara work. It's just what it is. It's nature, right? It's not like all the things you dislike, all the things, whatever you like, whatever you dislike, nature will give you all of them. And there's no adversary needed for it. Jimmy Cliff was mad popular in Nigeria. Oh, Jimmy Cliff is amazing. Jimmy Cliff is amazing. Man, but yeah, I believe it. My dad was a Jimmy Cliff head. Oh, it seems so. He had a lot of his tapes. Or like he'd have these like random composite tapes with a bunch of stuff. And Jimmy Cliff was always a part of it. And it sucks. I can never find the titles of the song because I would just have to listen to the tape, put my ear on the thing, listen to the tape, and then like, okay, I know that this part is the Jimmy Cliff part. Um, he had like some old Sonny Okosun before he turned into an evangelist and his music got whack. But and then before he started talking about apartheid because that shit was kind of whack too. But he had a Sonny Okosun hidden agenda. Hidden agenda. If anybody knows Sonny Okosun hidden agenda, please send me that song. Please. That was so important to me in my formative 11-year-old ass years. And I can't find that song again. I can't find it anywhere. There was another one I was looking for, but I finally found it. Is the Jimmy Cliff one. Uh, some people want a new economic order. A spiritual one is what's maybe underway because I'm in Rome, but I do not do what the Romans do. That's the song I was listening to when I had my epiphany. So yeah, but I found that one. So the next one is Sonny Okosan Hidden Agenda. If you guys can find that, oh, and then my dad had a bunch of old Ghanaian high life. And I couldn't find it because I didn't know what the fuck they were saying in the songs. But I started piece by piece. I'm starting to find them because I actually found the old tapes. I went and got a tape player. I started playing and I started like putting the words together and I'd find it on YouTube and things like that. So yeah. No, I've had my dad blessed me with an amazing musical taste that I got to participate in by listening to his tapes and shit. These will make it make more sense. There are so many comments, quiz competition held in my local government area. Let me know if you want to be involved. Okay, cool, but like EJ, please message me somehow. I know I don't like when somebody wants to do a thing with me, but then wants me to message them. And it's not like an ego thing. It's like, dude, take off some steps. This is why the shit, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but if you can message me, right? Like sending somebody on a chore because they're trying to help you, right? And I see that what you're doing is you helping me because that's my town. So yeah, if you can message me, we can coordinate and that kind of thing. I think that's what you're doing super cool. Writing systems are cool, but they're all invented your own language for fun. Inventing your own language for fun is where it's at. I agree. I agree. Our traditions are primarily oral, world meaning tradition. Orality is central to not yes, come with 100%, and I accept that. I don't need no fucking right. Don't need to write nothing. Sorry, I'm not trying to cuss too much. I grew up in the American Midwest. That's how people talk. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's or the oral's fine, right? The oral's fine. Do Dominicans have African heritage? Yeah, it's mixed in there for the most part. You can see it. The Dominicans have alongside indigenous ancestry, but they do contrary to I know black. Shit. One black Jamaican lady gave me hell for detangling my daughters. Gave me hell to detangle. Yeah, yeah. You see that bullshit? You see that? And then somebody will tell you that they're a black hairstylist because they've been doing Tyla's hair for 12 years. Then all of a sudden an actual black person walks in, they start, so when these people tell you they're not black, let them not fucking be black, goddamn. This shit, like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? Let them not fucking be black. Darker than some Africans, food, language reflects. Yeah, but they're, I mean, like, if Dominicans become black, does like the Nobel Prize count increase for black people? I don't. Do we the Olympic medal count increase for black? Like what good like what? Okay, we get WAP. Okay, they made a song called WAP. I don't Rosario Dawson. Like who gives a fuck, dude? Like okay, like let them be the thing they are, dude. Like it's like our bench and our starting line is already very deep. The bench and the starting line is already very deep. At this point, we should be looking to say, okay, you know what? We need some people to stop claiming this shit. It's kind of crowded in here, right? It's propaganda. Thailand identifies as colored, which South Africa classified mixed people. I was so confused when people got mad when she said she wasn't black, right? I'm not an EJ that you know. I'll message you somehow. Okay, cool. To be black, 2 parent, 4 grandparents. They all had. Oh, hey, sis, Stefan, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much for the donation. Her parents look Indian. They're Indians. They're Indian. They're people from India. They're people from India. They're people from India. Uh, why do white people get mad when some people say that they're not black? They don't identify as. Does it affect their pocket? I don't know. I don't know. I'm from my non state. Oh, we're unified though. They were heavy on the trading. No, you don't find any draw ancestry because they're few in number. There's like 2 local governments in Bielsa, but they'll be claiming. And the people that are claiming the people that they're claiming don't have internet. It's also because, but yes, they're heavy on the trading. Yeah, it's also because people want to erase black identity throughout the diaspora. It happens everywhere. Unfortunately, it's okay to be black, and it's a solid identity, sure. Ibera people or Yoruba group. I mean, even I'll say Okute. Yoruba says Okuta like Abe Okuta. I mean, Okuta. I mean, are we saying 2 different words? Are we saying some people in America say you all, other people say y'all. They're not. That's not 2 tribes of people. Blurs a lot, but it's all a spectrum. So the culture is a spectrum. Guys, again, our generation won't lie down. Our parents, yes, parents didn't lie down. Let's keep that in mind. Well said, Uche. All well said. And doubt because a lot of younger people seem to care, engage, and preserve culture. Yeah, the ones that care really care. The ones that don't really don't. So, but I don't think that's new. I think it's normal. EJ, there you are. Okay. We're scattered. I mean, there's like 50, 40 million of us. Why would we not have scattered? That goes. Okay, I'm going to skip this whole conversation. Could there be Aboriginals in Far East China, in the West, that were black by race? Yeah, yeah, there were. There were. We already know that. We already know that. But you'd be surprised in China, like you read Chinese history, that one of the dynasties, probably several of the dynasties, I think it was, I don't want to say it was Yuan. I know the Manchu, I know that the last, like the one before the communism were the Manchus. And in that, whatchamacallit, the Manchu ethnicity was the privileged class, and they called themselves white, right? And then the Han were forced to cut their hair in that, like, when they do like the stereotypical old 1800s Chinese with the long ponytail, that kind of thing, they were forced to do that. And then those people, who see themselves as the indigenous people of that place, overthrew them via Mao Zedong and all that stuff, overthrew the Manchu, and you know, got their shit back. But the people that were ruling them were calling themselves white. Now, if you sit them next to each other and look, you'd be like, bro, you're both fucking Chinese. What are you talking? Well, yeah, race is very subjective. It's very subjective. I think one of the reasons, because in America, I think they try to base it on physical reality as much as possible. And other places, it's like in, yeah, they base it on physical reality as much as possible. So you Americans will usually say like, you look black, that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, but what does that mean? Because get real liberal with that term too, and talking about somebody looks black, and they got like a whole time person looks like a fucking Chris Hemsworth. All right. Actually, I'm a woman, so sit. Okay, my bad. Okay, Olive. No, I've been calling you. I've been reading your name as Oliver. I apologize, Olive. Ndo, 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 ndo. Sorry so much. Hey, Ubulumuda. Oops, my bad. Uche, please. Masquerades. Nobody want to go back to all that masquerades, flogging, and ordinary boys. No way. I'd love to contribute to your fund of people destroying sacred spaces. Okay, cool. So message me, email me. I try to make myself available on all the social media. So whichever one is convenient for you, message me. I want to have once I have the attorney, then I'll start like formally announcing and bringing people to help and things like that. So we're not in the donation phase. I don't want to be like on some Dr. Umar shit, raising money. You know what I mean? I want to have the school built, then start raising the money. So though some people have already donated and I got their money tucked, and I appreciate what they've done. But let me get the lawyer first. So if you actually know a barrister in Nigeria, please, that's what I'm really looking for. That's the next phase, is send me somebody who does law in Nigeria. And that is not going to give me some stupid Oyibo price, please. Uh, but thank you so much, Udu. Thank you. Hey man, are you familiar with the Igbo shipwreck on the Gold Isle of the Ga Coast? No, I'm not, but I'm actually going to screenshot this part of the conversation because that sounds interesting and I want to look it up. Thank you. I'm a real estate agent. Awesome. Maybe that wasn't directed to me. Destroy a tree dedicated to. They friggin' destroyed a 1,000-year-old tree dedicated to Allah in my village. Of course they did. I grew up with that tree, and one stupid pastor went with all his congregation, destroyed it at night like a coward. Yeah, people think it's like, people think it's like the Europeans that came and did all this stupid shit, but it's like, it's really like at home, it's so volatile because like you'll have something that's important to the whole community and you just wake up and it's been burned by some psycho because they want to show you that they love Jesus or whatever. And that's just that. It's gone. It's gone. Whatever, that kind of thing. So we really need to start putting these people in jail and suing the shit out of them. So that's what the fund is for. They beat the Eze in my town because he did many goofy things, but one of the last one okay, the second to the last straw was that the tree that there's a certain tree that's if once you become an Ozal, you have to hug that tree. And he approved these church people to cut it down because that's what their demonic ass religion says they should do. And so he did some other goofy stuff, and then the village boys started beating him up, and so now he can't come back to the village. But yeah, we need to start suing these people. We need to start getting them behind bars. Really, just giving it to them. So I'm ready for that. If you guys are ready, that's a big thing I'm working on right now. The main thing is I want to have the attorney ready before I start, or a team of attorneys maybe, before I start saying, okay, come be a part of this, come donate. I'm just letting you guys know because we're family, right? This is the village, you know. But yeah, and I don't want to like Umar it, start collecting donations and not have the attorney ready. Because one of the first things, so just to update anybody who's already interested, so one of the first things I've had the people that are interested, the attorneys that are interested, do is to figure out if the thing I'm talking about is even possible legally. So like find prior cases where it was favorable, find laws and statutes that would protect what I'm talking about, or like our traditions and things like that, and then present like a discovery, like a paper that shows that hey, this is possible. It was done here. It was done there. These are the obstacles. These are the logistics, like registrations, all the different things. Just that get that done. So the first thing I need is an actual practicing lawyer in Nigeria, not one that's going to give me some Oyibo ass price. People in Nigeria assume I don't know as much as I do because of the way I sound, and so they start just telling me bullshit. They start telling me fucking bullshit, and then even here in America, it happens all the time. Like, oh, he's African, he don't know like that shit. I heard this girl was listening to Tupac at my work one time, my old job, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I listen to this music sometimes." Like, yeah, what the fuck are you apologize? What? Like, but yeah, I don't know. I come off off-putting. Come off-putting to anybody that's trying to relax, I guess. I don't know. That's why I always make sure to let you guys know I like to laugh and joke and things like that because people get real fucking uncomfortably serious and shit. Start sending me talking about, it's a whole different thing. Igbo Israelites come from an Arab man named Havaz. Man, fuck those people. Are they the Gullah people in the Barren Islands now? So I think there's probably some Igbo people in the Gullah culture. I wouldn't doubt that at all, but I definitely, from everything I've seen, it seems like Gullah people are probably from other parts of Africa primarily, right? But again, I could be wrong on that, just because I don't think a lot of Igbo enslaved people were taken to those regions, which is like South Carolina, Florida, I believe. South Carolina, Florida, maybe a little North Carolina. But I I'm learning as far as like the history of like migration here in America. I'm learning. So I have this good friend. I have like about two or three good friends now that are historians on these things, and they share it with me all the time. So I'm learning. But I don't know if Gullah culture is explicitly Igbo, right? I don't know. But again, it's all a mix, right? It's not like people stayed within tribal circles or ethnic circles when they got to America. People mixed up. So, you know, Igbo is how European English speaker would approximate the word Igbo because they pronounce bo. Yes, correct. Hebrew Israelites latch on, they say Hebrew equals Hebrew. Yeah, and if an actual Igbo person tells them, they'll fucking, they don't want to hear nothing from your African ass. Hotep, like all them little Hoteps really hate Africans, dude. Like that, they don't want to hear it. They don't like that shit. Rastafaria, a lot of Rasta people don't like Africans. A lot of the Hebrews, they don't want to hear none of that shit. All the Egypt people, they don't like Africans. They just don't fucking like Africans. Moors, they don't like Africans and shit like that. So, but they'll use African stuff to validate whatever they're trying to say. So, oh, we the Hebrews and the fucking Evrus and all this stupid shit, you know. And then if you tell them, yo, that's not what's going on, you know, respectfully, and they just start huffing and bucking and shit. So yeah, Hoteps really don't fucking like Africans, dude. I know. There's a lot of self-hate stuff that leads people in those routes. And fucking talking about I'm a Moor and shit. Okay, we're still on the Hebrew thing. I'm gonna skip all those comments. If you said something smart in the middle of that, I skipped you. If you are an artist or writer, write a book, make a painting, can you create item to be an altar space? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So thinking well, when you're representing something in your altar, it what matters is that it feels like the thing you're representing. That's what matters the most, is that it feels like the thing you're representing, right? So it can be anything. Pictures are great. Artwork is phenomenal. Whatever it is that you can infuse that spirit and that, because spirit is felt. Spirit is felt. So whatever you can do to infuse that feeling into whatever it is you're doing, you're free. It's all self-expression. Your altar is an art piece. You know, your altar is an art piece. I didn't know. Talk about the Gnostic Gospels. Yeah, yeah. There's interesting stuff. Jesus also refers to Lucifer as his brother. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Grendel, you have okay. We also didn't have devil in Odinani. We had trickster energy. I don't even think we had trickster energy. I don't, what is that? Like, I think trickster is the N word too. Okay. If you're in Nigeria, you may not know what I'm talking about, but in this country, we have this thing called the N word. And it finds sneaky little, that's the trickster. I think trickster is the N word because they only say that non-white, whatchamacallit, non-Eurasian religions have tricksters. So I was always like, what is this trickster thing? What do you mean the fucking trickster? They said Ekwensu was a trickster. I haven't seen anywhere Ekwensu's tricking anybody, right? I haven't seen one description of Ekwensu or encounter or anything that deals with tricking people. In fact, it's the polar opposite, right? So yeah, I don't know. They always say the Native Americans got tricksters, the Polynesians got tricksters, the Africans got tricksters. And it's like, wait, what do you mean? What do these people mean? What are they talking about tricks? So you gotta watch out. There's a lot of people who existentially have to say the N word, right? And because they can't say the real N word, they find new N words. So I think trickster is the N word. If you're in Nigeria, what I'm telling you, what I'm saying will make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Even if you're in America, maybe 10% of you understand what I'm saying. I think that trickster shit's the N word. Yeah, there's no trickster in Odinani. Guys, look, there's no connection between Semitic religions, ancient. Okay, but then some of us, okay. Ubulu mudo, Ubulu is a. Ah, shit. No, there's no trickster. Okay, where are we at? Okay, you guys are getting lit in the comments. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I think we're out of questions, guys. Are we out of questions? Okay, I do know some barristers. I'll reach out to them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, cool. Please let them know I know the prices better than they do. Tell them that the person you're talking to knows the price better than you do. And if you want a sustainable, consistent income that is also generous but not ridiculous, that they should just be upfront and not goofy. Once people hear my voice or whatever, they just start saying numbers. I had this person tell me it was going to be like 200 some dollars for a discovery. I'm like, that's what they charge in the US, where the cost of living is 15 times where you're at. So what is it that you're discovering? I can Google the thing I'm asking you to look up. I'm testing your honesty. You understand? I'm testing you. I'm testing you. I can Google the thing. You understand? So please, give the real price. People just, oh man, what? And then you always know when they're giving you a Igbo price when they give you the price in dollars. They just give you the price in dollars. So yeah. Tell them that I know the thing, but I know the price better than they do. So please, I don't have any more time for foolishness. I was trying to hire somebody to teach at Kedu, and this person told me that they needed to be paid like 30% more than a US teacher. I'm like, come on, you're just saying this shit because I'm fucking, come on, man. Like, wait. You want to build like 3 houses on my head? Moo Because, like, it's a work part time. Come get the fuck out of here, that kind of thing. Yes, they'll bill you more. Yeah. They don't know that I'm an Abro. I believe there was an Igbo town. Yeah, I don't know too much about that Igbo town. Um, I've seen pictures of it though. Some people don't like themselves or know themselves. Yeah, I agree. Rosses teach back to Africa as the motherland. Yeah, they do. But some of them that are really on that Holly Selassie shit, bro, they don't like Africans, man. They don't want to hear it. Was they think that there's this big thing that like the Hoteps are doing, and I'm a Hotep too. Like everything I'm talking about, somebody's gonna call me a Hotep too, so I'm one of them too. But there's this big thing that Hoteps are doing is like they're really trying to act like if you're African, you can't be a legitimate source of information because you're colonized. I don't what that means, dude. But there's just a lot of shit going on. It's a lot. Somebody else. I need a team of people to address all this stuff because I got things to face. Also, expressive doesn't marry, have kids. Also, Odinani perspectives see that a person doesn't marry and have kids. What is Odinani's perspective on this folklore or Okay, I missed your okay, all smiles be I apologize. I missed the first half of your question. All right, does Odinani perspective see that a person must marry and have kids? What is Odinani perspective, folklore, proverbs? Yeah, so Igbo culture, Odinani, all of that is very pro marriage, pro procreating, and all that stuff. So not having kids is seen as like a bad thing. Like if you don't have kids, it's not perceived well. It's not it's even if that's just my calling or whatever. It doesn't mean people like it, right? The way they see it is like if you plant an apple tree and the tree grows but no fruit comes out, it's like fuck happened here, right? So that's the perspective on that. Um, a good book, all smiles be a good book to check out if you like literature and stuff is Efuru. Spoiler alert, it talks about what you're talking about, but it kind of shows that the okay, I'll say it anyway because you want it's kind of ambiguous in the end. But she realizes that she's Onyemiri. She's a water person, and a lot of water people either don't want to have kids or can't have kids. A lot of them, it's common. And so she had been struggling with things like marriage and relationships and trying to have kids and stuff. This is like an old book. I think they say it's the first like work of literature by an African woman, but that's not like I don't believe in that title. Um, but she was trying to have kids and things like that, trying to be in all the shelters. But then she realized who she was, like spiritually, and then she's like, and then it kind of just ends, right? And without that context of what that means, it seems like an ambiguous ending. But like if you understand Odinani, you'll be like, oh, okay, okay, I see. Because she has all the traits of an Onyemiri, like typical Onyemiri. She's kind of against the grain, rebellious, good with like business. She's really good with business, that kind of thing. Unconventional relationships styles and stuff like that. And then she figures out, oh, okay, this is who I am. This is why this is the way it is. So, but generally, even at that, even though there's an explanation or an understanding of it, it's not welcomed because you have to remember this is a communal culture, right? So it's not just that you don't want to have kids; you also don't want your folks to have grandkids, right? You don't want your folks to have nieces and nephews and so forth. That's how it's seen, right? That's how it's seen. So that's the perspective on that particular thing. Not having kids, not getting married. It's not invited. It's not something people want, right? It's not something people want for themselves. Even till this day. Olive Uche, these people are deeply lost. Try to find yourself in the religions before you use one ancestors made. Okay. They call Eshu the Yoruba trickster. Yeah, I don't know anything about Eshu, but I promise you, Eshu ain't tricking nobody. I promise you, Eshu ain't tricking. I could be wrong. I don't know about Eshu. I don't know Eshu like that, but I think trickster means the N word. Didn't they say Papa Legba is a trickster, right? Then they say Papa Legba. Papa Legba is very niggerish, man. I think trickster is the N word. This price thing is funny to me because I get it. As someone who's in America and doing business in Nigeria, they think that we're fools. Yeah, but like I get it because the way I see it is like if Oprah said, "Hey Derek, can you write a one-page paper for me?" And then I go, "Yeah, sure, Oprah, why not?" And then she'd be like, "How much would you like for me to pay you, Derek?" And what am I gonna say? $20? Yeah. Oh, is it $15? $5? Right? Is that what I'm gonna tell Oprah? I would. I'd tell Oprah. I'd tell. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. I'm soft. I would not. It's. I got it, Oprah. Don't worry. That's probably what I'd say. Or I don't know what you got. Five. Okay, cool. Yeah, but you get the differential, the gap of access to money is way too wide for that relationship to move smoothly when it comes to things like prices and so forth, right? And sometimes I don't even mind. Like I remember one time I was nowhere and I was buying Gucci jeans. And they gave me the price, and the price was $15. And I was about to pay, and my cousin on like, I was like, "Man, what are you doing? Why would you give them?" And he starts yelling at the person, like, "What do you mean it's $15? Are you crazy?" Da, 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 da. I'm like, "No, no, no, this is cool. There's no $15 pair of jeans in America. Like, I don't care. So I gave the guy the $15. He thinks he's scamming me, and she's like, I get it. It's like this shit's really supposed to be like five. And I got home like the button fell, the button fell off the thing. And shit. But yeah, I had Gucci jeans for like 5 minutes, for $15, So yeah, I'll do my. It's the differential. I get it. And then it's like, am I gonna get? Is Oprah gonna ask me to do this every day, or should I take advantage of my one chance to talk to Oprah? You know what I mean? So yeah, this is great content, really, because I'm just yapping, so I appreciate it. Where can I find the book After God is Deepia? Everybody has been saying libraries do a good job of providing it. I'm trying to get a hold of the family so that I can make it available for my patrons. but that's going to be hard, and I don't think I'll have much success at that. Just know that's one of my ambitions. Also, if you contact the family directly, they get it too. Like Ray X is saying, libraries they stopped printing that book, but my local library carries it. Sorry, spell out the book. Trying to search it. What's going on here? I had a priest trying to sell me a protective bracelet for 500 USD, and he was in Nigeria. Okay, so do you know what 500 USD means in Nigeria? Oh shit! You know what $500 means in Nigeria? I don't know. Holy shit! $500. How? What would you be able to do? I haven't been in Nigeria in a long time though. So and then the cost of living is higher now, but nobody in that guy's town has $500 to give him for a bracelet. You know, nobody in my town in the United States of America has $500 for a bracelet. But maybe this was a really good protective bracelet. Maybe this guy really knows what he's doing and is highly acclaimed and so forth. You know, so yeah. So like one of the it happens, and the worst is, so if you ever try, like if you ever try to get in the way of that transaction, I've had situations where like somebody is overpriced like an American, and I'll be like, dude, no, and then the American will start thinking I'm trying to fuck them up, like I'm trying to keep them from getting the good shit. I wish I was making this shit up. I wish I was being biased, but yeah, it happens all the time. Where it's like, like I'm the enemy. It's happened. It happened. It's like, okay, all right, whatever. You guys enjoy. You know, like, it's all good though. For $15, I bought Dior slippers, LV glasses, and Nwuse face. Still get compliments on them till this day, years later. Yeah, yeah. So I knew it was fake, but I thought I was gonna get a fake one that wasn't made of sand. The way I got home and the whole thing just started melting, it was unreal. It's almost as if they put juju on the thing. That once you get home, all the strings start popping off and the buttons start flying everywhere. So yeah. Have you ever noticed any differences, similarities between Hinduism and Odinani? A lot of differences, right? A lot, or similarities. There's a lot of similarities, right? And I think the Odinani and Hinduism similarities comes from the fact that they're, in essence, Hinduism just means the collective thoughts of the people of the Indus Valley region and what we now call India. Odinani means the collective thoughts of Igbo people, right? And so, again, if you get a group of people that are observing reality and describing reality, even if it sounds supernatural or extraordinary, a lot of their conclusions are going to be the same. A lot of what they're saying is going to be the same. A lot of their practices and approaches are going to be the same. And so, there's a lot of similarities with Hinduism. A lot. Some of them are like chilling. It's like so close. But it's two groups of people doing the same thing, right? Two groups of people doing the same thing in different places. It was an Ileke bracelet for Oshun. What is it? What Dibia? Are you sure it was a Dibia? Are you sure it wasn't a Babalawo? Because Dibias don't deal with Oshun. Joy was it a Dibia or a Baba? Because Dibias don't deal with Oshun. If you say Dibia, the way I'll laugh, but he was a Babalawo. Okay, yeah, that's different. That's not the same. That's those are Yoruba. That's Yoruba. Yeah, yeah, it's not because yeah, a Divya selling Oshun bracelets. I'll laugh my ass off. That'd be funny as hell. But yeah, it's a Baba. But yeah, I don't know. All right, guys, looks like the questions are running out and I'm getting lightheaded. If I stay on long, I'll start saying funny shit because I think is funny and you guys don't, but it's all good. What's your opinion on New Age TikTok witches? I don't know. It's if that's somebody's path, that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, and they don't mean harm. They're not doing any. They're not hurting anybody. Um, if that's their path, that's cool. I'm okay with that. Um, I really don't have anything bad to say or anything like that. Yeah, that's who they are. That's cool. I'm gonna say, the quicker you realize who you are, the better. And if that's who they are, that's cool. Balls, no. Babalao is now a career path for some scammers. Maybe, but I've come to realize a lot of people want to be scammed. I've come to realize a lot of people want to be scammed. If you tell them the truth, if you actually present the traditions as they are presented and as they are, it's not enough for them. And they'll even think you're like full of shit or maybe not giving them the good stuff, right? You have to understand a lot of people think that African traditions are a bunch of people do with magic powers. So a lot of people are here for the magic powers. It's something I've had to reconcile. A lot of people are here for the magic powers. And so if one person says, no, that doesn't make sense, or no, that's not, or try this, like sometimes I'll give you guys answers that are not profitable, right? But that's just my fucking ass. Somebody else, a lot of people don't like those answers. And they'll go to the person that, oh yeah, 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 I'll just slap this shit on your head, and you'll never be single again. You know, and people want that. People like that. You know what I mean? And it's not. I don't. This is not a judgment thing. It's very different from my way of thinking, so it's funny to me. But it's not like it's just what people like that shit. You know. People like that fantastical shit. So a lot of people want the experience of being scammed. Everybody I like it, and when you try to like, yo, stop, it's like they start looking at you like, oh, dude, what the fuck is this guy talking about? You know, you try to get in the way of the good stuff. Joy, though, thank you so much, Joy. You have a very sweet spirit. I appreciate your questions. Can you make a teaching on Igbo understand death, afterlife, reincarnation? I've done a video on reincarnation, Chibuike. I've done one. I can make another one though if you want. But type Iluwa, ILO space UWA, or just go to like the medicine show and type in like death or reincarnation, right? But yeah, or type in medicine shell reincarnation, medicine shell death, medicine shell ILO space UWA, Iluwa. I've done a video on it. I need to title some of those videos better because I think that video didn't do too well number wise, but I think it was a very good video. But I think the average person not gonna type Iluwa, right? So I don't know why I called it that. Can you make? But yeah, I've done that. True, because some people don't want to go through the process. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You know, that's so what, you know? Is sometimes when you experience something good, you want other people to experience that good thing the way you experience and understand it, even if that seems like the best way, and that's just not the way they want to receive it, and that's fine. It's okay. So it's not that deep. But yeah. A lot of people want that shit. A lot of people want that. A lot of people want to be scammed. True, because some people, okay, go, it backfires. Make sure that one they don't know because it's done in bad faith. Yeah. Okay, guys, this has been a great discussion. I want to see you guys on Patreon. If you're not there already, patreon.com/the medicine shell. I want to see you guys at the group studies. We have group studies twice a month. Really good discussions, good topics, good vibes. And then, of course, the Patreon, we have the library is available. My research library is available. We also have the Odinani calendar. So for those of you who are new, and by the way, if you're a patron and you're not seeing the calendar on your Google Calendar, message me. I'll fix it for you. Or message me, because some of you have said that it's not showing up, right? So message me and I'll fix it for you. Because I think I figured out why it shows for some people and doesn't show for others. But for most people, for everybody really, you get access to the calendar. So it tells you what market day it is on your Google Calendar. It also tells you what moon we're under and what happens during that moon. Not every moon has a very strong significance, so not every moon's going to have something under it. There's just certain ones, right? So, or let me say, not every moon has a universal significance. It now becomes a community thing. So either way, it tells you what moon we're under, what the observances are, what market day we're under, the meanings, and what the observances are. And then, of course, at the highest tier, you get access to the traditional medicine class. The new one starting in September. The traditional medicine class and the Igbo language class, which I want to see you guys in both of them if you're interested in going that far. We have a really good program. I'm really proud of the program. This is our first class for the traditional medicine class. It was a huge learning experience for me, learning what everybody needs, things like that. I am about to finish a book because of it, right? So I was like, I want to make a textbook for the class. So after class, I'll just write a new chapter. I'm like, damn, I got a whole book. I just wrote a whole book. So I'm about to put out a book, y'all. I'm actually finishing the last 3 chapters of that particular book. It's like a handbook, like a Debia handbook, a handbook for Debias that are learning the craft and things like that. So all of that is available, patreon.com/the medicine shell. Easily the best Patreon community on planet Earth, the village. If you find one better, let me know. If you find one better, let me know, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Like, damn, you inhale through, okay. Spaceman. Oh, never mind. Okay, guys. As always, unu ga-adị, unu ga-eto, nke ọbụla unu tiri aka, ọ ga-adị n'ụwa, ọ ga-adị otu a na eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ. Ise, jishito.